And in this house, the most dire, horrible events took place.
You are not content with the stories. Slice lives from. Be my victim.
Through watching scenes of violence, through watching scenes of transgression, through watching scenes of horror. There's an enormous amount of sort of abattoir of excess.
We all go a little mad sometimes.
Abattoiral excess. I can relate to that. I feel I've had a lot of excess recently. Maybe more of the gastronomic variety.
Oh man, way too much. Way too much.
Grim.
Yeah, it's that's the best bit. I'm a keen cook, a very keen cook and chef, and I'll be honest, being back in the kitchen is the best part of Christmas for me.
What's that, Haryan? Did you just say that's where she belongs? That's just unacceptable.
Oh, Haryan, how could you?
Look. You got to learn to cook, you know? Your cooking's terrible because all you cook is vegan. And I won't stand for it. I just realised I've completely forgotten to shill.
Damn it, yeah, the guilty as charged, but you try my homemade cranberry sauce. Oof, same stuff they use for pig's blood and carry. So, folks, hey, welcome to Double Feature Horror Show episode 42. How are we all doing in our first... Oh, people are liking the base chat. Yeah, I think the treatment of sororities in this may please you, if you like that bit. Yeah, it's our first post-Christmas.
I speaking of sororities, I didn't realise one of the sorority girls was Lindsay from Arrested Development.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh.
I was
very
see that.
Portia de Rossi. I'm going to have to get you to say that because I'm struggling on that one.
It's French. I won't be any better.
So, does someone want to look up what her actual name is? She is not French or Italian. She went for a showbiz name. This is one of the great showbiz names, the Marilyn Monroe of our time. Of Marilyn Monroe, of course, being originally Norma Jean, and a surname I can't remember.
Wait, is she dead now then?
No, she's alive. She's only 50.
Not quite Marilyn Monroe then.
Oh, no.
Not quite.
No. She was originally called Amanda Rogers. And then married someone called DeGeneres. So there you go. Oh, she's married to Ellen DeGeneres.
Yeah. Yeah, they slipped in a couple of references about that in Arrested Development, you know.
Oh, I missed that.
Oh, I guess it's time for a rewatch. What can I say?
Oh, another one. Jeez.
There is always time for another rewatch. Well, I hope everyone is fine. I am still recovering from a horrible food coma that I put myself in on Christmas Day. It was intense. I wasn't able to move much for literally hours afterwards, but this is what we have to suffer.
That's why we're here.
Just to suffer.
Just to suffer.
Just to suffer and to ask for seconds. But speaking of seconds, how smooth was that?
That was very smooth.
Horrendous, but I'll take it.
A brain for radio as well as a face. Yes, we are covering the... yes. We are covering Scream 2 today. Second in our Scream arc. We're excited for the upcoming... Well, excited, maybe still a bit trepidatious towards the upcoming Scream 2022. I think I know it could work. It could work. And I'm particularly interested. I don't know. It's a new creative team. I just don't know.
I can't see it working.
Yeah, I'm concerned. If anything, if the Matrix reviews were anything to go by, my excitement for this film is slowly turning into worry. I'm starting to get a bit cautious now.
Yeah, the Matrix Resurrections is a really interesting comparison point. I mean, in that one, I have not watched it. I was a bit trepidatious. I looked up a plot summary and I confirmed I don't want to watch it. But in that one, they're sort of openly talking about, effectively, it's an obligatory sequel. Their hand was forced. So, yeah, fine. We'll make a sequel and it's going to be sort of very transparently a cash-in for the money. And maybe just make a couple of points.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
it speaks volumes when one of the Wachowski sisters didn't even want to be involved in the project.
Yeah. And I don't get why they didn't even ask what Lawrence Fishburne. Like that's really weird to me.
Yeah. And also Hugo Weaving as well. You know, he's iconic. I'm again, one of the things that have come out from the trailers that I aim to impress with is the new, I assume to be new Morpheus, and whoever Agent Smith is now, if it is Agent Smith or, you know, whoever the replacement was. It's like the one bit, it's like, Mr. Anderson. It's like, man, you just do not have that charisma or that presence that Hugo Weaving did. Like the chemistry between those two, Keanu Reeves, who, lovely guy and everything, but very one-dimensional in terms of his acting abilities.
What do you mean? He's got the range to play John Wick, and Neo.
Yeah, and he also
massive acting range.
Yeah, well, he was in Bill and Ted's as well. I mean, but he just plays the same character. Whoa, what's going on? It's almost like Nicolas Cage in that regard. It's just. I don't know. I mean,
no, there's a manic energy to Cage. Like, you're going to see something special. You just don't know what it's going to be.
Well, that's it. Yeah, that's it. But yeah, I mean, for me, I mean, with Scream 2022 or Scream 5 or however they want to call it, I mean, I can understand why they would make a sequel. They're starting to get a little less pointless now, unless it's some sort of commentary for it going over the top, like they've done in the past with other franchises. It's there, but yeah, like with the Matrix, there was no need for it, absolutely no need for it. Or they could have, you know, they could have done a full reboot, because, you know, it was alluded to in I think in the second film, like it's not the first version of the Matrix, so they could have done it with a whole bunch of different characters and all that stuff, and you know, but they decided to go the route that they've gone, and I'm worried.
Yeah, there's a thing in the new one. So I've picked this up off a review. So guys, if you want no details of the Matrix Resurrections, just mute this stream for a minute. But there's one thing I picked up on that I want to give symbolism for a reading of. And that is apparently the big thing in this one is the idea that it's not just Neo who's special, but it's Neo in conjunction with Trinity.
Yeah, I've heard that.
That's the real power of it. And I thought, that's actually really interesting symbolism for the Wachowskis and filmmaking. Like, it's kind of like the Wachowskis don't have a hit without the Matrix. It's like, you've tried to do all these other things, but no, you're going to have to go back to the Matrix again. You know, it's this idea of you're only getting the power from these two things in conjunction. And maybe there's just like a tiny bit of bitterness about that. I don't know.
I mean, I've heard that as well. That my impression of it is maybe they're just expanding on their relationship, because Neo and Trinity were always quite like conjoined, like interconnected between each other. you know. And I think if anything, that's just expanding on it. But my concerns are more less about sort of like how they sort of put Neo to the back and bring Trinity forward. It's just more general stuff. I mean, I've seen what they've done with other sequels and other reboots, and I just am losing confidence very rapidly. And
I can go with that.
Yeah.
I'll drop this off now. Okay, good. No spoilers. We're done. We're done with Matrix Resurrections discussions. And we should maybe talk about. I'm not going to go and see it, to be honest. It's the whole when they tell you from the start that it's a cash in, it's like.
Do you not even want to go and try and find the gay allegories in it, or?
Oh god, I tell you, my comments have been flooded. If you don't know, guys, my biggest video is a video on when a year ago they tried to make a big thing over the Matrix as a trans allegory, and they put in some ridiculous ideas. It is very clearly a retcon and a complete reach, and I made a video about it, and I still get flooded with idiotic comments to this day that are nothing will turn you off democracy quicker than realizing that the people who leave that comment can vote. It's
Step
so
over.
depressing. Step over completely. Dear, so I've been flooded with those recently. Anyway, hey, yes, good to see you. Catch it live.
All engagement is good engagement, according to the algorithm. So, you know, thank them on their way out.
I've got it monetized, so
yes.
At least the rage is paying.
Susan approves, at least.
Yes. Well, we should maybe move on to Slim. Slim, if you want to find out, just go into my videos, look at popular. You will see my 2 videos on the Matrix, and maybe even my 3rd one where I said the machines did absolutely nothing wrong, which is a personal favourite of mine that's somewhat underrated. Hey, Richard, good to see you. Hope you had a good Christmas. You haven't missed anything. We're just chatting Matrix Resurrections, and we're about to get into the topic, I think. It's quite a quick one, because we got a fair amount to cover. So I was just wondering, of the films that we've reviewed this year, what would you say the high point and the low point were? Maybe start. Shall we do the high points? Which films did you enjoy reviewing most?
Misery. I'm going to start off Misery. Quite recently, I very much enjoyed watching that film. Going back to it again, some of the Korean stuff as well that we've done. What was the name of that zombie one?
Train to Busan.
Train to Busan. That was a fantastic film. That was, I mean, especially like when it opening up to sort of like the Korean / Japanese markets, which I hadn't really explored that in depth before. That was definitely the best of the bunch that I've seen so far. And just trying to think because we've covered so many films, haven't we? Really? Oh yeah, Richard. Yeah, Fright Night, the 1984 or 85 version. That was pretty good. And actually, actually,
the modern one.
Yeah, I was going to say the reboot one was surprisingly good. Colin Farrell was pretty decent in that. Yeah, I enjoyed those ones as well.
No gay allegories as well.
Oh no, none whatsoever. I'm just trying to think what else there was. Oh, what was it? The Return of the Body Snatchers. Was it the Return of the Body Snatchers?
Do you mean the Body Snatchers, the 90s one?
No, that's the one, the 90s one that we reviewed as well. I had a laugh watching that one.
Early days, yeah. I think people don't tend to watch that, but it's a bit of a beauty.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, it's a bit of a diamond in the rough, isn't it?
Mm. Yeah. How about you, Haryan? Which ones did you really enjoy covering?
I really liked ones that I could just rip apart. Having said that, Haunting of Bly Manor I think was my favourite to review, just because it was one of the few times I could go through a story and go, I have basically nothing bad to say about this apart from a bit in the last episode. And the rest of it, I'm just going, this is why this is like peak horror for me. What else did I enjoy? Oh, I enjoyed the Black Mirror one we did, and The Brood, actually. They were 2 highlights. Because again, it was like, there wasn't an awful lot to say where I was like, this doesn't make sense. It was I mean, it's Cronenberg and Charlie Brooker. It can't be bad. But then, of course, ones that we ripped apart, I quite liked. I quite liked ripping into The Loner, and we were just like, "This is all just stupid."
Yeah, that was a tough one because
Yeah.
it was kind of an awful viewing experience, but the reviewing with you guys was a hoot because
Yeah.
there was just so much that was awful.
So yeah, those two. What else do we? I think the last one I can think of was The Descent, because it let me be a daft racist, sexist.
Whoa!
Oh, you can be racist on this stream. Don't worry about it. It's fine.
But,
Just let your hair down.
And
Yeah.
just the because it was just when we were talking about women. The highlight was just, I think Crime Guy was like stepped away for about 5 minutes, and we went through that scene where it was like all the women just laughing about you don't know what, and then one of them comes in like flowery pajamas, and they all just point it out and laugh again. And I was just like, I don't know what was funny there. And Crime Guy came back, and you were like, oh, what are we talking about? And I just straight away said, so you know that part in the film where all the women were like drinking and just being really annoying? He said, yeah. I'm like, do you know what they were laughing at when she came in her pajamas? And he just said, no, not really. That was probably one of my highlights, I have to say.
Yeah, that was a special one. Just because you completely surprised me, I thought you'd love it.
No, that wasn't. I don't know. I think it's salvageable, but it's certainly not the worst film we saw of the year. But I did enjoy. I enjoy riffing into things, but obviously Blind Manor being the main exception.
Yeah, that.
Oh yeah, Blind Manor. I remember I watched it all in a day while I was or wasn't working. Can or cannot confirm that, but yeah, blitzed them all in a day. I remember that actually because obviously where I was sort of like in between doing other bits, I missed out the whole the whole sort of Easter egg of there being other ghosts and stuff. So when you two started going on about there being all these like ghosts in hidden places, I'm just like, what the frick? What?
Were
No. I think I remember I spotted like one, and that was like under a table in the kitchen. But yeah, it was absolutely mental.
Yeah, they're all.
I do remember that. Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah, I mean, when we get to do The Haunting of Hill House, the first one, I think you've got to watch out for that because it's. I mean, it's kind of. I noticed it the first time, but I didn't notice it for several episodes, and then when I noticed it, it was like, oh crikey, what the heck is that? What the heck?
I'm definitely going to give myself more than an afternoon, though. I will say. Yeah,
but do it. I would like to put forward just ones that I really enjoyed. I thought we did a really good job on, Fright Night. I liked. I thought Radlib on Army of Darkness was brilliant.
Oh yes,
that was really good.
No. We have to call it by its proper name, Captain Supermarket.
Captain Supermarket, yes.
Oh yeah.
That was a really good. I really enjoyed that, and I thought we were I thought we did good analysis on American Mary, even though it wasn't a good film.
Sorry. Just to go back to the Captain Supermarket bit. One of my favourite bits of that stream was when it was coming across that Radlib was mugging me off at every opportunity because I'd talk and he'd just talk over me, and then it turned out he had audio issues. He could hear you guys, but he couldn't hear me. And then he was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry," and I'm like, "Nah, it's cool, man. It's cool."
TCG and the Radlib feud. Good dramas. Yeah. Richard, we had Tash on when we reviewed a show called Whitechapel in our Jack the Ripper arc.
Oh, of course, that's the biggest highlight of my year.
That saved it. I also think I want to do a shout out as well. I know it's quite recent, but Alien with Lambda.
Yeah,
I thought he brought some really good stuff to that. And what was he? Hellraiser. I think we did good stuff on Hellraiser.
With years, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that was one where actually we could have gone on a lot longer if I didn't need to sleep, because that was a deep film. That was deep. we got some good stuff in that. What
Absolutely.
were some of the more painful viewings?
Army of the Dead.
Yep.
That was
The stream was brilliant.
The stream
because
was
that was
excellent, but
because that was
gosh.
I think, if memory serves, that was the first one where we actually looked over some film trailers, and then it was that. Oh, what was the name of that one? That one we watched.
Shadow in the Cloud.
That's the one, and that bit when it like falls out the plane and like explodes back into it, and we all just like absolutely lost our minds at that. That was brilliant. But yeah,
We still have to get Zen back on to watch that film because I know it's on Prime.
Yeah, we need. Yeah. Oh God, I'm not surprised that it's free for people on Prime. But yeah, I mean, we because we did say we'd watch that. But yeah, the stream we did was really good. But watching that film I was so disappointed. I was so disappointed. It was so pointless and just unnecessary. And when Zen was like, when Zen basically just shattered the absolute like film during the stream. That was it for me. I was like, I can't watch it because they have got a sort of like a prequel of the German safe safe breaker. I think there's something on Netflix to do with that. So they have started doing the prequels and stuff. But I just can't get into it knowing whatever happened, knowing what happened to him.
Of course. I mean, he was one of the better characters, but it's not like you really warm to him, is it?
Well, that's the thing. It took me a while to warm to him, and then by the end of it, he was one of my favourite.
I'm tempted to say another one that was difficult in a weird way, apart from Loner, because it was about 180p.
Yeah.
So we could only find it on this fairly dodgy streaming site. Good times.
That's probably most of them, yeah. Loner was a difficult watch, but really kind of good. The discussion after was really fun and good. But I think one that's kind of the other way around for me was Demon Seed. I really enjoyed the film, but I got really annoyed at Mitch that stream because it's one of we finally got a film where I'm really interested in talking about the themes and the ideas behind it. First time, and the whole time it's just shut down by Mitch saying, "Nah, it doesn't make sense." Nah. And I'm like, "Oh, this film really respects your intelligence. It tells you a lot of things in kind of 2-second scenes." And he's like, "No. Why has he got this big lab?" I'm there just trying not to hit my desk over and over, but it was a good film though. That was probably actually an entertaining stream for Chad. I don't know.
Yeah.
What about A Tale of Two Sisters? This was the the K horror. That was one where I really struggled to watch. I couldn't get my head around that film.
Yeah, that was interesting to me as well because I was going in like I was like like the happy Leo meme, thinking everyone's gonna absolutely love this film.
Yeah, no, I'm there ruining it.
Well, you weren't the only one. You weren't the only one. I was like, eh.
Yeah, too many. Well, not too many twists. Just turns out no one else is in the house at all. All right. Wait, how does any of this work then?
Both Tale of Two Sisters and what was the other one? House of the Devil were those weird experiences where I would have rated them about 2 burgers higher, and I got absolutely I really wanted to argue with you guys and be like, okay, you're technically right, but I still like this film. But then you're like, this is stupid. This makes no sense. There's this. There's like, oh, damn it, they're right.
I'm so sorry we ruined your day.
No, it was funny.
I completely forgot in the highlight section for the highs, butterfly kisses.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Because we only had the bloody creator of that film in the chat. Do you remember?
Yeah. Nice guy.
Yeah.
I mean that was brilliant. I think that was our first Poe.
That's right. Yeah, because that was her suggestion. That was.
Yeah.
And then again, another highlight was the 1 hour photo stream.
Oh,
because obviously that I think that's our highest watched one to date. and that was Shrouded Hand giving that one a shout out.
Yeah. That was fantastic. It was lovely going back and seeing that. Had over 1,000 people watch it there. Oh,
Yeah, it's brilliant.
Okay, really? Nice.
Thank
Yeah,
you,
it's
Shrouded
done
Hand,
really well.
you absolute star.
We still need to do his House of 1,000 Corpses.
We do. I'm hoping we can do that in February, but I'll tag him and try and get it to happen. So maybe that could be, I don't know, maybe it could be sort of the last 2 streams we do in January. We could do Shadow in the Cloud and House of 1,000 Corpses. Keep our
Yes.
promises.
Keeping our promises streams.
I see. Oh, sorry, Ham. We've got a suggestion here, making a tier list. I'm tempted.
Oh, yeah, that's a good
I'm
idea. That is a good idea.
That could be
Do
a
that for
fun
the first anniversary.
Yes.
I like it. I like it. I mean, that's coming up scarily quick. We're on 42 streams already. But yeah, well, we should probably get into it then. Our 40-second topic. But I liked a little chance to reminisce at the end of the year, but maybe not go fully into it as we are going to. Well, we should do this ranking thing. I like the idea. Richard, we are going to do our wrestling arc. Now we've got TCG back on board. We're going to reignite that. That's probably going to be the February arc.
Yeah, that sounds
so
good.
I just got to get back in touch with the people we had booked as guests and seeing if they can make it. So, yeah. Do you guys want to talk about Scream 2, maybe?
Not really, no, I'll be honest.
I just want to talk about how well we've all done over the last year.
Yeah, I just want to talk about, you know, Christmas and all that nice stuff. Of course, we'll get into it. I managed to watch it this afternoon. Yeah, you know, we're not going to do a whole plot by plot thing, are we? For this, just
No. I think you folks should be familiar with Scream 2. It's not bad, but we won't go for it. It is quite a how can I say, plot wise. If we just like the first Scream, if we did every twist and turn, the stream would never end, and we'd probably get bogged down in a lot of discussion of false leads, basically.
Yeah.
Which is sort of an issue. I've got my notes on a few of them, but I figure instead we should talk about some of the things that are a bit more special about this movie. So, how can I say? Well, where's a good place to start? Some things that we should note that are a bit interesting. Of course, this is from 1997. It is 1 year after Scream has come out, and basically just a year. Scream was doing so well that it was basically still in some of the cinemas when Scream 2 came out. Imagine that. It's kind of crazy. So
Wow.
There are some very big shoes to fill for this. And you could say those were largely filled. I mean, Scream 2 effectively got basically the same in box office as Scream. So Scream took in about $176 million. Scream 2 took in, when I last checked, was about $175 million. So it was a success, but it had a very tight time frame to work with, and it had some interesting difficulties on the old production side of things. Hey there, Crime Guy. Thank you so much, you generous chap. You didn't have to.
I'm just stingy.
Oh,
streamers pet.
Yeah.
Excellent. You can. Maybe we'll get you doing a 3-minute summary soon as a treat. But, so one of the things that was maybe working against this film is the fact that not only have they got just a year to get it together, not only is Kevin Williamson still working on Dawson's Creek, he'd also had another movie picked up that year, 1997. You
Okay.
may have heard of it. I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Oh no, never heard of that one.
Harry?
I don't think that's real. I know it from a Simpsons Treehouse of Horror.
Oh
I
wow.
thought you'd know it from Scary Movie.
I've not seen Scary Movie, unfortunately.
Really?
Yeah, I've not seen Scary Movie. I've not seen a lot of things. Why are you so surprised?
Well, no. The thing is, right. Okay.
I
Right.
thought you had.
No. I was watching the Scream bit last stream.
Oh,
Right.
gosh.
What you need to do is you need to go back and watch the first two Screams, or Scream and I Know What You Did Last Summer, then watch Scary Movie, and then tell me that you can't not picture those scenes from Scary Movie when rewatching the horror films. It is that good.
I do believe you.
Yeah.
No, I'll definitely go through that then.
Yeah. So what I'm trying to get at here basically is the issue is just Kevin Williamson is deeply in demand at this point. Like he's the Joss Whedon of his day. He is so in demand. He's got these 4 projects basically on the go. Did I say 4? It's 3. Scream 2, Dawson's Creek, and I Know What You Did Last Summer. So he's very in demand. And then, lo and behold, in 1997, something awful happens. And someone puts a script on the internet. Ooh,
The infant internet as well.
Babby internet.
Yeah.
God.
Like these are the days when you'd get like a disc through from in the post, or like when you go and buy a computer magazine and you get the old 30 days AOL trial. Do you remember AOL?
Yeah. Or you'd have the little demos on the CD.
Yeah.
This is exactly. It's ancient internet, guys. Chat, how much nostalgia am I setting off for you all?
I mean,
Nemo, were you just remembering PC Gamer and the little demos?
The old Games Master with
Patrick Moore. And was it Dominic Diamond?
I think so, yeah. I think so.
Oh no, the nostalgia is super strong here. It's terrible.
And Harry is just like, what?
Yeah, I'm lost.
Oh dear. It's a different world. But then when you think about it, remember in The Matrix, they were delivering programs on floppy disks. So it's not that far off. Yes, Richard, pay-as-you-go internet, basically.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, dear. Anyway,
Bloody hell. How did you survive?
Scream 2 has their script leak on the internet, and this is going to be something we have to discuss a fair bit when we get to the relevant stuff, because, it's kind of all about the ending, isn't it? This is a slasher where they upped the ante, upped the interest by making you really wonder who the killer was. Now, remember, we know who Freddy is, we know who Jason is, we know who Michael is. The most we might expect from a Friday the 13th movie is we want to see what Jason is looking like under the mask at the moment. But the idea that the killer is one of the characters that is a twist that's brought in that's quite interesting, that just adds that much more punch to Scream to make you care about what's happening. And unfortunately, some bugger on the internet goes and some dastardly fellow on the internet. Where's the swear jar?
Massive.
Goes and spaffs it all over the IRC chats.
Oh,
terrible.
God.
Disgraceful. And so they have to do a sudden reverse ferret. They have to quickly come up with a brand new ending. And so I reread the alternative script to refresh my memory on it. And there's some interesting lore about it. If you're interested, I do have a video on it about the original ending of Scream 2 where I go into it in more detail. Kevin Williamson, the writer, he gives a little bit of cope about, oh no, they didn't leak my real ending. They leaked a dummy ending. It's total cope. It's all nonsense. We've got enough interviews from other actors and Wes Craven himself talking about the original ending that we know that this dummy script is real. Okay. So we will talk about it, but the fact that they had to very rapidly switch around the finale, the third act, is going to have some impact on the film as we get into it. But that's a fair old way off. I think maybe the best place to start is we should talk about the intro. We're not going to do a blow by blow, but we are going to talk about key elements. So, would you guys like to talk about the intro?
Well, yeah, just to set the scene. There's a new franchise in the Scream universe called Stab, and it's directly based off Gail Weathers' book about what happened in Scream 1, basically. And I do have to say, if this is what American cinemas are usually like, I find it really obnoxious and never want to step foot in one ever. But assuming this is just for the film, obviously it's a load of fans of Gail's book, and I guess it's like, Lord of the Rings coming out for Lord of the Rings nerds. Fine. So, you got this black couple who are basically nobodies. They're just, people for the start. It's like, Drew Barrymore in the first film. But they're already kind of having a go at, maybe having a go at, let's call them African studies.
Oh no.
Well, that's what he says.
Yeah, exactly. Because the woman's like, "Oh, it's just like it's a white story about white people. Why would a black woman want to go see that?" And the guy's just like, "I just like murder. Like, come on, let me go see it."
Yeah, that's Omar Epps and Jada Pinkett Smith.
Mm-hmm. I found this opening quite interesting because it was I feel like they were trying to make Jada Pinkett Smith's character as insufferable as possible, so that when she eventually died, you're oh, by the way, maybe we should say spoilers.
Spoilers, guys. Fez remembers.
Honestly, if people haven't kept up that we spoil it by now, they get what it is.
Richard, take it back. Do not let him have that.
And again, you've had 24 years to watch the film, so it's your own fault at this point. But I felt like they tried to make her as insufferable as possible, so that that you get a sense of like gratification when she dies. Again, Scary Movie 2 mocks the shit out of this opening scene, and it completely gets the tone of what they're doing here.
It is a very interesting thing, isn't it? Because we got a movie within a movie and Stab, and this is going to become very prominent over the franchise. It's kind of like a monster that goes out of control, but Stab is already like the bad version of Scream, and then you have Scary Movie also doing it. It's an experience. And I think you're right. Jada Pinkett Smith is made to be quite unlikable here.
I think she was just playing herself, really.
Well, Will Smith may agree, but there's an interesting one though, because I think she is quite complex in this. Like I think she is deliberately obnoxious in this, and she's raising something that's quite interesting. She is bringing in a bit of identity politics. She's bringing in a couple of talking points, like one of the things she gets in there is the idea that it's the black guy dies first trope, which is something that would be explored a bit more in a documentary called Horror Noir, which came out, I think, about 2 years ago. If you're interested, it's a trope, but it's not massively true. But it's interesting that she's bringing that perspective in. And then I think it's almost like I think it was a concern for the studios that they did want to sort of diversify the cast a bit, because what you do see happen is that Sydney gets effectively kind of a 90s stock character. She got the black best friend. That's which is sort of an interesting thing. Like, if you watch 90s movies, this happens a lot. Dave Chappelle did this in You've Got Mail. I think, was it You've Got Mail he was in?
I don't know.
I know he did. I'm going to look that up. But I made a... Haryan, could you look that up and confirm for me? Just while I do this bit, because I made a few notes. You have Elise O'Neill do the black best friend role in this. You got the same thing in I Still Know What You Did Last Summer.
Last summer, yeah.
Yeah, they got in Brandy for it, and I think Mekhi Phifer and an uncredited
Yes, he was,
Jack
yeah.
Black.
Really, he
Yes.
was uncredited.
Yeah, he was uncredited, but it's him.
Great Jack
thank
Black.
you, Richard. It was You've Got Mail.
Yeah.
Thank you. Who else? Of course, Cassie Lemons in both Candyman and Silence of the Lambs.
Mm-hmm.
So it is kind of a 90s artifact that you notice.
Definitely. And remember that, you know, these films are commentaries of the genre itself, so it's no surprise that they would, you know, again, it's like they would intentionally insert these characters into these specific roles because it's literally commentating on the actual genre itself. I mean, like, here's the thing with Jada's character. I think just to sort of expand on what you were saying on, you know, yeah, she's a bit identitarian in what she's saying, but she's raising those points in the context of it being something that is quite noticeable in horror films and the genre. Again, it's playing to. Oh, so I'm just even not banging on the doors.
Audience.
It's playing to the audience, but it's just demonstrating how self-aware it is, in terms of what it's and what it's describing. It's like, yeah, we know we've got black people in these films. Yeah, we know they're gonna die. Yeah, we know that it's always the pretty dumb white girls that that run up the stairs and do the silly things. Yeah, we know.
And I think it's one of the things that it does best is absolutely it raises that it gives that issue, and it gives that highlighting of it, but then it also kind of makes you think at the end, well, you're in the movie, love.
Yeah.
It didn't work out well, did it? You know. But it's an interesting one. I've got this specific still up. Oh, sorry. Just to round this off, because I think it's interesting that you both have the idea that you should have that representation in as basic, a bit cynical. It's a bit of a marketing thing. Basically, as Red Letter Media discussed it. Especially when it's just in a sequel, you kind of think it's a bit more of a marketing thing to try and branch out. So Red Letter Media did a big thing on it when they reviewed, I want to say, Attack of the Clones.
With Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah, and they were saying it was quite cynical. I also
that's
think
George Lucas.
I also think we get it a little bit in a pair of suspects were given, the sorority sisters. I think to an extent we're almost sort of given like this sort of racial angle as one bit of identity to get our attention. Also Phil the cameraman sort of does this as well. But then I always keep thinking that they were trying to direct a lot of our attention onto the sorority sisters. So they might try and do that angle as well, like the women in horror angle. I mean, ultimately they didn't. But
I personally, I never once suspected them of doing anything, of being involved. I never once crossed my mind. This is kind of news to me. What's the?
Okay.
Yeah.
I think they were setting them up as a potential. You know. They get quite a few shots where they're made suspicious, and you're just like, oh, what are they doing there? And it's like they're in it enough that you would consider them potentially viable suspects.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I don't know.
They were red herring, basically.
Yeah, I think that's probably why I never even suspected them. I think just because they just didn't look like killers in a sense. But I suppose, you know, that in the long term, again, not going to go into too many future spoilers, but I suppose that would bite me would bite me on the backside now if I was watching some more modern ones, I guess.
Yeah. I've got this specific frame here up for one very short point that this is kind of a weird, cute in-joke. Well, not in-joke, it's a reference. This Ghostface flying over the audience. I think this is a bit of a reference to an older William Castle thing for the House on Haunted Hill.
Okay.
William Castle is a guy we're going to do a topic on because he's just this amazing shill merchant. Like, I don't think his movies were that good, but the guy could market like anything. Like, this was a king of the shill, okay? And he'd always have a gimmick for each of the movies, and one of them for House on Haunted Hill was this model skeleton that he'd have flying over the audience.
Nice.
I kind of... Oh, would you like another one?
Go for it.
Go on, you taught me into it.
He for a movie called The Tingler. Yeah, it's a good start, isn't it? He got his hands on a load of disused airplane engines and rigged them up under seats. And, would set them off for key moments of scare. So if you sat in the right seat, you'd feel the tingle.
Nice. So this is like 4DX before 4D.
Yeah, definitely.
Nice.
Suddenly seats going off like the clappers, Maybe some very happy audience members. I don't know, but this is a family stream, and I wouldn't want to speculate.
Oh no.
Yeah, we might go in. We'll do a little topic on William Castle because he's incredibly interesting as a showman and filmmaker. But yeah, I just thought I'd get that because I thought it was a cute reference.
Fair enough.
Now, I did wonder in this opening, did this annoy you at all, Haryan?
More than likely. Go on.
I wondered what you thought about Phil's death.
Yeah, it annoyed me.
Was it Phil Stevens?
I don't, who cares? He's there to die, that's it.
He is Phil.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yes, it did annoy me because he said, I need to go to the bathroom. Established that two Ghostface people are already in the bathroom, and then he knocks, and then he tries to go in one of the doors, somebody in there, he's like, oh, sorry, goes in the next one. And then he hears the guy, like, mumbling to himself, and he can't quite tell what it is, but he finds it interesting. So he puts, like, his ear up to the door, because, cubicles, they're not solid walls. You can just kind of, put your ear up and hear from over it. But anyway, puts his cheek up and ear up next to it, and then he gets stabbed through the cheek. And there's a lot wrong with that. You kind of, okay, you can tell where he is, kind of, with where his feet are for the killer. How does he know how high he is? He didn't see him. And how does he know that the bloody toilets are free? Because he like clambers out, gets stabbed again in a completely empty toilet. It's like, you're not the only one there, though.
I mean, Right Honourable Fez in the chat said it best earlier in the chat. Scary movie sort of made more sense with the glory hole versus magical stab targeting. Yeah. He's absolutely spot on there. I mean, you have a target.
Yeah. I was going to say as well, like, after, because because it's established he has a ghost mask because he scares his girlfriend Jada Smith. The guy goes back in, like, takes his clothes and whatever, which have been stabbed through, by the way. But he goes back anyway, and she's like, "Oh, stop trying to scare me!" And the film's still going. Then they're redoing the Drew Barrymore scene, which is quite nice. But then I'm there like, okay, wait, but he's not taking the mask off, and I'm like, we know who the killer is at the end. How does she not notice that he didn't have black hands?
Maybe he had gloves on.
I was going to say, was he wearing gloves or?
Well, it's not established if he was.
No.
Oh no, that's going to bug me forever. I didn't notice that.
Hold on. Is this the killer in Scream 5?
Oh, maybe. Who knows?
Maybe this is the killer that the elusive third killer that we don't get to see.
Yeah, I mean, but we know how he knows that guy's his girlfriend, because this is the other thing. We find out that he specifically targeted them.
Yeah,
really explain why.
Yeah, this. Well, no. It does. We know why they're targeted, but it does open a lot of. It does sort of open a lot of doors to questions as to how these killings were executed, like the planning that went behind it. I mean, I can only assume, because it's established that this is a pre-screen, like a pre-release sort of like almost like a test screening, if you will. So you could argue that the killers gave them the free tickets because again they make it clear it's free tickets, blah blah blah. So they've obviously been given them, and if you've ever been invited to like a test screening, it literally is someone will just come, because we had this when they did the what was it called? It was the Mary Poppins Tom Hanks film.
Mary Poppins Returns, or
no, it was the one with Tom Hanks in it.
The Mary Poppins films with Tom Hanks.
Yeah, it was
Disney, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Chat, what's the film called?
What's the name of the film?
Come on,
It
chat.
escapes me.
Chat, your job to help us here. Come on.
Yeah, we literally had someone walk into our work one day and we're like, by the way, we're doing test screenings. Who wants to go and see this film? Oh, Saving Mr. Banks, I think it's called. Yeah, and it was literally as easy as that. So I mean, it's not hard to believe that they would have had access to the tickets that way. I'm sort of rambling a bit, but yeah. But then to plan everything else on top of that, like you like to know when he would have gone to the toilets, or like you say, like the where he would have like how would he have known if he was going to lean up against the door, let alone stab him through the head.
Yeah, the killer has to be in the cubicle waiting. It's like exactly.
Well, how
do
do
you need him to go at the right time?
Like, and
how
also
did he know it was him?
Exactly, yeah. He doesn't know it's him because he doesn't really say anything. The cubicle's locked. There's no possible way he'd know. Equally, they could have turned around and gone and see the Sandra Bullock film.
True. If
and then that would
have been more under Jada Pinkett Smith rule, absolutely.
So again, this is when you look at it with a critical eye. This is like why before we started doing these streams, I always used to say I just switch my brain off and watch the film. Now I can't help it. After I saw this, I was like, yeah, you bastard guy. But when I'm spotting plot holes like this now, and I'm like, oh, gee, I mean, they are gaping wide ones, but phrasing.
But
even now I'm like, oh man, this is actually quite a stupid scene, opening scene.
It's a nice idea, but yeah, this is a contrivance. This is the definition of contrivance.
Yeah.
But let's. Sorry, Haryan, go ahead. I need this.
Because
I mean. The whole, I mean, the second killing again. If you take away sort of like that the planning to get them in the positions where they are, the second killing of Maureen Evans, Jada Pinkett Smith's character, it's quite an interesting kill, because they're all obviously they've obviously had way too many Smarties before the film because they're all bouncing around the cinema off e-colours. And it's quite easy to do, isn't it? You're quite blended in. It's quite interesting.
Yeah.
And
I mean, for everything we're talking about, how she is made to be aggressive, she's made to be unlikable, she's made to be irritating. I think she does turn around and actually sell a performance that actually is quite affecting. And I'll be interested to hear how it works for you, but. She gets up on there. It's very dramatic. It's very staged, but she looks upset. She's crying. She looks kind of almost helpless and almost childlike.
Well,
you just feel awful for her. It's not a quick death. It's quite lingering and emotional.
I mean, you might have.
I mean, her character does sort of go through a little bit of a U-turn because after he scares her, after Omar Epps scares her in the Scream mask, she's kind of like, she goes from that sort of like stonewall face, like, oh, look at me, I'm woke, to this like, oh, come on, I don't like horror films, I'm scared, look after me, protect me, and and the thing is, like, she doesn't know that her boyfriend's dead, so for all she knows, her boyfriend could be killing her.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
That's another thing I thought.
I think she comes off in this just so vulnerable, and I hadn't even thought from that angle. Of course, from her view, she does think. Well, she's confused. She doesn't know if it's Phil or not, but.
And I also did notice this as well, Genetic Benevolent. But yeah, bigger plot hole is I don't buy a 20-something-year-old would be called Maureen in the 90s. Yeah, I did sort of pick up on that.
I suppose that is there's a bit of a rush, isn't it? You know,
Yeah.
Sorry, a bit a reach. So, Haryan, were you saying it was working for you?
Oh, it was it was working. It reminded me of the John Wick scene where he's in the nightclub, and like no one notices that someone's dying because obviously everyone's kind of play stabbing each other. So one person kind of actually being stabbed, you're kind of not going to notice. And as I say, I mean, you say it's a test screening, but none of these people's opinion is clearly going to be good for a test screener.
No, this is very true.
None of them are watching.
Because at the end of the film, at the end of the film, they give you like a little like questionnaire, you know, some pencils, and you got to sit there and write out, you know, your opinions of the film. Yeah, these people weren't doing that. Not at all.
Which isn't ideal, but
I imagine most would be like, "What film?"
Yeah.
It did seem like it was trying to do a bit of the old problematizing, if we will, like the whole, hey guys, you're all cheering on the violence, and now look at the actual violence in front of you, etc., etc. But I don't think that gels with the rest of the film.
No, it's not great. They didn't. Well, they're clearly trying to do kind of slightly. I mean, because obviously I've watched 4 as well. It's like they're trying to set up for the tone of the film. I mean, that's what they try and do every time. But this is why I thought it was weird that they brought in the whole identity politics thing. So I'm like, oh, that's weird. But this is a 90s film. This is what you'd expect from a film made after the release of Cats.
Yes.
So, and then obviously, you know, the death scene is the first one. I'm like, oh god, that's all over the place. The second one, I'm like, yeah, that's a bit better. And I did like that she went up to the middle of the screen, but then it just kind of cuts, and people just kind of talk about it, and that's it. And that was the same with the first film, but that was at some girl's house. This is in front of like hundreds of people, and you think they'd all have like kind of a story on it, but it's just kind of at the, you know, left behind now. It's like, oh, we're on to Sydney now. Like, you remember Sydney? Yeah, cool, let's go.
Yeah, very little fallout. Effectively, it's an interesting one. Actually,
Yeah,
I think what we'll see, or my take on it, is that this film is really good on being very ahead of the curve of the kind of conversations that happen now. But it doesn't necessarily do much with it. And we'll get that when we get onto the meta angle, I think. But should we talk about something we just brought up here?
sure.
Which is this angle. I said, guys, we're not going to go all the way through the plot. We'll just deal with some key bits. So this is a plot element that that is made a bit difficult by that first scene. So we have a scene after a few deaths where Gail Weathers demonstrates a bit of intelligence and familiarity with the case by pointing out that the first 3 victims all share names with the first 3 victims of the original Scream. So she asks whether Cece is the real name, and no, it's Casey, like Casey Becker. But this is, and after this, you know, the next attack is on Sidney Prescott. So that follows. But then after that, they kind of drop this plot point completely. I was wondering if you guys noticed.
Yeah, I noticed.
Yeah. Gee, wait, there's no Tatum here. Who's Tatum?
Yeah.
There's no Tatum. There's no O'Neill. Well, there is an O'Neill, Alicia O'Neill, but that's the actress's name. And they do just drop that, and I thought that was kind of weird. But then in the alternative script, they actually address this.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
They said that they had 2 of the different killers in the original script, saying that they were initially starting with a remake, and then they were going into they wanted to break new ground. So they specifically address that they stopped this pattern, but in the final version of Scream 2 here, they don't say anything about it. They just sort of drop the plot element.
Right. Yeah, that doesn't make much sense.
Yeah, I think it's the explanation was given by two different killers who aren't killers in the final version, and they just didn't port the line over.
Brilliant.
That makes sense. Idiots.
Yeah. So we talked about the opening and how they wanted to sort of, they did have to kind of live up to the first Scream with a memorable, powerful opening. And I think to an extent they achieved that. There is an issue of contrivance, but I find it largely effective. And I was wondering, for each of you, what else really worked for you in Scream 2? What do you think they did really well?
Oof, that's a dangerous question.
I'm making some assumptions.
I really liked Gale and Dewey's arc. Theirs was probably the best part of the film.
Yeah,
for me.
Yeah. This is what I was saying in last week's stream. The character development of Gale and Dewey wasn't really there in the first one, but they really do expand on it on the second one, and I do like that. And obviously, it's quite cool because in real life at the time, probably even now, I don't know, but that they were married at the time, so they had that. So they had that romantic chemistry. In fact, I think he wasn't far from becoming WCW World Heavyweight Champion, our David Arquette. That's another story. Perhaps we'll cover in the wrestling arc.
Wait, hang on, is that real? Is that a thing?
Yeah, he was WCW champion. Heavyweight champion, yeah.
What?
Yeah, WCW went through a really weird phase, which pretty much killed it, but. Yeah, part of that involved that man there on screen holding the WCW World Heavyweight title.
My mind is blown by this. Yeah. The wrestling arc is going to be amazing.
Yeah. Maybe set another Scream film in there. Or we could do Eight-Legged Freaks. There you go. That's a film with a wrestler in it, David Arquette.
You love to see it.
I'm answering a cocktail question that I'm actually quite happy to get. I like that there's always a sub strain of the chat that is talking about cocktails, and I love it. Yeah, I'm really glad you highlighted that. I do think it's one of the best things, and definitely, possibly controversially here, I kind of think that at least up to Scream 3. I think Gale has a much stronger story arc than Sydney.
I agree.
Yeah, that's definitely true in this.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I'm so glad you highlighted it. I think it's lovely. It's warm. You see, they give them a little. They don't put them together straight away. They give them a sort of natural point of tension over whether they get together or not. Maybe we should stick on the development of Gale, because there's something I love so much from when she first comes on the scene. The way you get that really good, what's the phrase we use? Show, don't tell?
Yeah.
This is how we see her straight away. And just from the way she's dressed here, it's telling you so much. It's telling you she's gone up in the world. Not only has she had a book adapted into a film, but just look how she's presented here. She's not in like the kind of tacky suit that she had originally. She's got this really styled hair. She's the one being followed around by a reporter. It's so good. The reporter's not in the original lime green suit that she had, but it's a green suit. You are clearly meant to I think see a parallel there.
Yeah, it's almost like she's looking at a previous version of herself.
Definitely. And I think the fact that, we're in spoiler zone, guys, so we can say everything. Spoiler zone, I think there is a key thing in that. There is an evil reporter that I think is part of the motivation for Gale to sort of react against who she was.
Yeah, definitely. Well, yeah. I can't remember the line she says now, but it was one I really liked. It's kind of
which point?
it's later on in the film. I think it's it's just before. It's just before Dewey and her go into the theatre in the school to kind of work out what's going on, and she's just getting really frustrated at the reporters saying like, "Oh, who do you think it is next?" and all that. And she's just like,
yeah.
I hate this.
Is it this when Debbie the green jacket lady, she's like, "Please, Miss Weathers, it would just be such an honour if I can get a quote from you for my story." And she's like, "All right, begin quote." Yeah, it's like, "Your flattering remarks are both desperate and obvious." End quote.
And it's more when she's talking to Dewey, kind of 3/4 of the way through the film, and she's just like, "Look, I feel really bad now. I just want to do something good now."
Oh yeah, because that's part of the story arc between the two. Because you think that they'd be all happy, they'd be together in the second one, but that's not the case. Dewey is quite resentful of her because of the things that she wrote about him in the book, and that's consistent with her character though. Because in the first film, she's quite, she's blatantly using Dewey. Yes, there are moments there when sort of like real emotion, like real feelings are there, but ultimately, she's just looking for that big story, that big scoop, and she's completely capitalized on it at that point. But yeah, I mean, I definitely agree, like that Gale and Dewey have had more, have got more fleshed out stories in the film since. Sydney's always been this, woe is me, I'm a victim, my mum's this, that and the other, and it's very one-dimensional with her. There's not really much else to sort of say about Sydney. But Gale and Dewey, on the other hand, not only are they both victims, but they've got all of the baggage that they're carrying as well. And for me, it works better. I think if you had to lose somebody from the films of those three, I could drop Sydney.
Which is really weird to say.
Which is really weird to say, because she is the main character. She is the Heather Langenkamp. She is the Jamie Lee Curtis. Neve Campbell, but she doesn't. She doesn't. I don't think she just owns the role as much as them. And yeah, if she was out of it, then I'd rather see these two.
I'm so chuffed. Because I think we have maybe a weird take for the general conversation around Scream. But yeah, it really stood out on the last viewing when I was like, yeah, Gale's got a better arc now. Zgilman? All right. I'm really glad you said that, because I will agree, and I wanted to add this in. In fact, I think I said it's up until Scream 3 that Gale has the best character development. I do think when we get to Scream 3, we will see that Sydney actually has a really good close-off. A closing off, not nude scene, sorry.
I was going to say, I was confused then.
Famously not, actually. Neve Campbell almost, as far as I remember, I don't think she's ever done nudes. She's quite like Sarah Michelle Gellar. She's very reserved. Minor point of trivia for you. So I think they really do a great resolution for Sydney when it gets to Scream 3, but which we won't talk about now. But in this, she does move on a bit. She's got a nice logical evolution. She's kind of, she's growing tougher from the experience of Scream, but it's, how can I say, it's a good progression, but I wouldn't say it's particularly outstanding.
Nah. Very forgettable, I found, with
Fez. If that is confusing people, Neve Campbell was in a, let's say, a very saucy thriller called Wild Things. And she did have an interesting, I don't know how to describe it in Susan Bentley terms, but an interesting scene with her, Denise Richards, and Matt Dillon. But she stayed clothed during that.
Can confirm Neve Campbell has done topless.
I probably shouldn't let this divert the stream. Is that true?
Yep.
I thought she never did that.
I really hate my job. I think the name of the film was, and don't.
Unexpected.
Yeah, definitely an incognito. Yeah, I really hate my job. 2007. Yeah.
That is very unexpected. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I stand corrected.
Yeah. I really hate my job is a British comedy, 2007. Yeah, she gets her baps out in that. There we go.
Is this
For purely
like
academic
Alison
purposes, where was this teabag?
Link, like out of nowhere.
Sorry, we do the fact checking here. We want to make sure that we are correct in our claims. So yeah, I can say that I've done a false notes on that, and that claim was false. Proper Horror Show. Nev Campbell definitely has got her baps out.
I apologise. I did not want to spread misinformation about BAPS. Okay, cool.
Oh, that's hot. That's hot.
Okay, sorry. So yeah, she's got some progression in this, but it's not it's not terrible at all. But I think there is a bit where there is actually some confusion about what to do with her. This might be a little bit of a weird one. This was something that stood out to me, and I don't know what you'll think of it. But there was something that didn't make much sense to me. And Richard Orritt saying Richard Herring was in that. Oh, I'm so confused. This is like the weirdest combination ever. So when I'm saying Scream 2 was a little confused about what to do with Sydney, and how she would progress, this kind of stands out to me. So here she's cast as Cassandra, right? I'm not sure. I think it's the Fall of Troy is what they're doing, right?
Yeah.
You guys I'll spell it out anyway for everyone in the chat. So Cassandra is, correct me if I'm wrong, she was given the gift of foresight, but cursed to never be believed, right? So it's interesting that they cast Nev Campbell in this. It's wonderful that we get this great little cameo from David Warner, absolute horror legend. Love him from Straw Dogs, of course, The Omen, which we've covered on stream, and In the Mouth of Madness, which I'm really looking forward to us covering on stream. We're going to see a fair amount of David Warner as we go along, guys, don't worry. But do you think it makes sense to cast Sydney as Cassandra?
Depends how good her acting is.
I mean, possibly it's random, but I just don't think you cast someone as Cassandra without intending symbolism.
Yeah, I definitely think it's intentional.
Yeah. In fact, weirdly, it's like... This is some convoluted thinking, okay? Weirdly, Cassandra is a really bad choice because she's made bad predictions. That's what we know her for. Like her statement about Cotton Weary got him falsely convicted. She hasn't ever predicted who the killers were. She's completely wrong about that. She's constantly trusted the wrong people. So
it's really good. Maybe it's like an inverted role, like this is who you could be, but because they believed that it was her testimony that sent Cotton Weary down, whereas if nobody believed her, then he could have walked a free man. So it's definitely not the right kind of character. Correct. Cassandra promised to get her bats out for Apollo, but then went back on it, so her curse was to see the future but not be believed.
Gosh.
Well, get
We
right.
have an educated audience who's very interested in a good pair of apps. So, okay, I went on this convoluted mental journey. I was like, okay, she's not making accurate predictions, but then I remembered, hang on. Cotton Weary turns out to be the killer in Scream 2 in the alternate script. So, oh my gosh, actually she did make a correct prediction.
She just got the wrong murder.
Yes, but I read further back in the script, and they weren't actually adapting The Fall of Troy originally.
What are they
So
doing?
they were doing a play called Death Trap,
Right.
not The Fall of Troy. So I thought potentially this is one of those things that was actually very clever, that the last minute script revisions wiped out. But I think it's not. I think it's just wrong.
Yeah, it's when you put it like that. I mean, I never really understood why this scene was in the film.
The scene's there for a scare, I think.
Yeah. And maybe to make you wonder, is it or isn't it Ghostface? Because she's, because obviously she's quite highly stressed at that particular point, isn't she? So.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it is implied that Ghostface actually was there, but I think Haryan's right that it was largely there to get a quick scare in at the right time. But it's also establishing a setting. In both versions of the script, the finale takes place on stage.
Yes.
Which is interesting.
Yeah.
How so?
Well, I was wondering if you had thoughts about that, about why you think they chose to set the finale on a stage.
Because it's meta. It's all just a show for an audience. And they're destroying the set, i.e. destroying the meta of horror films.
That's points going to Mister Ghléddyv. Well done.
Fair enough.
And it's stupid.
I was just going to say, because that's where her boyfriend was strung up. But there you go.
Well, that as well, yeah. I get the theme though.
Well, that is a very interesting point about the boyfriend, and Haryan's on the right. We might as well stay on this because this is quite interesting. Right, I have got my screenshot because it's very specific. I told you guys, we're not doing a playthrough. We're highlighting important elements, and maybe we'll stay on the meta element for a bit here. Do you know what Derek's on there? This will win you a pub quiz at some point.
I've never seen The Fall of Troy.
Don't worry. This is a device, and you will be familiar with it. This is a Deus Ex Machina.
Right.
This is God out of the machine. This is when someone would literally be lowered down in the role of the god to resolve everything.
Right.
But of course, we know Deus Ex Machina slightly differently. But this is a genuine original case Deus Ex Machina.
Yeah. I've heard. I didn't know it came from. I didn't think it was a general thing in kind of Greek plays. I thought it was a thing that happened in one of them, and it just kind of went from there.
If only Wholesome Waifu were here, she would be able to give you great details on Greek plays. But I think it's more widespread than one. But I don't want to be fact checked twice in one stream. I've already been back shamed, you know.
Because it is kind of a Deus Ex. Because this is straight after the car scene, and I hate that scene. And it's just like she just runs away, and then she just ends up at the theater, and I'm like, why?
Yeah. It's okay. We've got some support here.
It is a widespread concept.
Yes, Stein. I think what is happening here is you're getting the idea that this is very theatrical. It's it's trying to give you the idea, I think, that this is very overblown. You know, this is big and dramatic. And you can say, like, on one level, it is telling you this is a sequel and we've massively increased the scope of everything that's happening. And because we're doing that, we're trying to just show you this is overblown drama. And to show you it's overblown and overly theatrical and unrealistic, over excessively dramatic, melodramatic even, we're literally going to make it happen on a Greek tragedy stage play, and we're going to have the actors playing with stage effects.
Dumb.
Which is kind of a thing of...
Yeah.
The problem is effectively, you can point out the thing, but if you're then also doing the thing, how clever was it? Do you know what I mean?
Well, yeah, it's like the boys with the whatchamacallit, the girls get it done.
Girls get it done, exactly. Your high. Sorry, please take it on and develop it. I've talked over you.
No, it's fine. Well, yeah, because in the boys throughout the whole season, I mean, they have the literal Nazi saying like, "Oh, this needs better writing." You can't just say like, "Girls get it done" and expect people to follow it. That's just stupid. And they kind of develop off that and kind of go, "Oh, she might be right. Let's try and get all this identity politics stuff out of it." And then at the end, she turns out she's a Nazi. And then, unironically, in the final episode, they do a "Girls Get It Done" scene where 3 women beat up a Nazi woman, and it's like, this is really weird. And the men are just there, like, oh.
Where were the women in World War II? Is what I'm saying.
No, the SOE had some women, you know.
Well, I've played Battlefield 5.
Oh God.
It's as you say. You can. I might struggle with my wording on this. Is it in the Incredibles, the Pixar film?
Yeah.
The whole,
I don't know what you're describing yet.
Okay. The villain is nearly caught monologuing and says, "No, you caught me monologuing."
Yeah.
I was going to do the basic error that lets you win, but I know that's an established trope, so I'm going to point it out and I'm going to do something different. You know, but I don't know what you get from pointing out the thing and then doing the thing anyway. I mean, this is like the Matrix Resurrections. It's like they open and say, "Look, Warner Brothers are going to insist on making a cash in, so you're going to have to do it." And it's like, yeah, but you literally made the cash in, so. Oh, thank you. Yes, Richard, Syndrome. That's a guy.
Yeah, Syndrome. Yeah, from The Incredibles. Yeah.
So in this one, we have got the whole thing of, yes, the criticism that is leveled. Like the central project here is, can the sequel ever be better? Are the sequels inferior? What are they? In which ways are they inferior? Like they increase the gore, which Scream 2 does. They make it overblown. You know, you've got to over deliver.
Yeah.
And the problem with that is that they will be overly dramatic, melodramatic, overly theatrical, which they've done here and they've really highlighted. But I think sorry. I think I know how to round the thought off. The problem that they have is they've shown you the bad version of Scream by showing you Stab, which is Scream made badly. But it's like, okay, you've highlighted that. You need to not do it yourself.
Please.
And I talk phrases. So.
No, it's fine. I mean, what's different with Syndrome? What makes Syndrome's part good is that the reason he is monologuing is because Mr. Incredible was his hero, and he wants to let him know what is like how he's going to humiliate him, basically by saying you're not going to be special anymore. But then he gets attacked by the rest of his family and says, "Oh, you know, you caught me monologuing. That could have got me." It makes sense in universe. He obviously knows there's more than just Mr. Incredible there, and he's kind of got two conflicting things. He doesn't want to get defeated, but he also wants to humiliate Mr. Incredible. Whereas with kind of the stuff in Scream and the stuff in The Boys, they're saying like, look, this stuff's bad. It's like, oh, you know, here are tropes. We're going to do that trope, by the way, and we're going to kind of force it in the scripts and not make it make any sense, which is not a good way to do it. But
because Scream has already done a deconstruction. Like the most obvious example is the killer teleporting, right?
Yeah.
And you just, because of somewhat shoddy filmmaking, we kind of internally imbibed that, yeah, the killer just teleports. Don't worry trying to make it make sense.
Well, I think
and Scream gave you a reason for why the killer can do it and shows you, look, you can have the killer do it and you can make sense.
Yeah,
Sorry, TCG.
I was going to say, I mean, the teleportation in Scream 2 was more overt than the one that was always questioned in the first film for me. Because in the first one, if you're talking about sort of like the end scenes where they're chasing Sydney and then he sort of comes around from the other end of the house, I mean, it does look like there is a way for him to get around to that other point. But explain to me the car scene when he teleports out of the car, unconscious, to behind Sydney's friend. I mean, we already know that the passenger side door is busted in, because they can't get out that side. You know, they've got they can fully, you know, they know that he's not getting out of the driver's side door because they haven't taken their eyes off of him in that short amount of time.
I could go on about that scene forever.
I have literally saved this picture as it's Scream 2, Screen Cap 20 teleportation.
Yeah, it's just, you know, why more people weren't talking about this particular teleportation, I don't know. But this was the one that really bugged me out of all of the 4 films. It's a
shame because I think Alicia O'Neill I think it's Elisa actually. Apologies if I've got that wrong. I think it is Elisa.
Elisa, yeah.
Yeah, apologies. It's Elisa O'Neill. Yeah. I really liked her.
I did. I was, you know, pardon the pun, but gutted when she was when she was killed off, and it was so dumb. It was so dumb because he just. Yeah,
you know, she. Okay, so I might as well put this in now. I think part of the reason this scene feels so bad and it's such a quick teleportation is because she wasn't originally meant to die there. She was not originally in this car scene. Exists in the original script, but she isn't there.
Right.
Because in the original script, she's one of the killers.
Ah, okay.
Yes. Let's not divert it. So if it feels tacked on, it is. But I won't divert it because like the full discussion of the extra killers is something that is relevant to a different scene. So I'll save it for then. But
okay.
I'd love to hear us talk about this scene because I think it's got some of the best of Scream 2 and also some of the worst.
Yeah. For me, the best. Dude, the way one of the FBI agents, or I don't know if it's FBI or not, but the way one of those security guards or whoever they were get killed when he gets like the pole impaled through his head. I mean, you hated it.
I did.
Why?
Same reason I didn't like it in The Descent. It can't go through skulls. It just can't go. It's physically impossible for any of that to happen, especially going through the back as well of the car, and it busts through the cop's metal grate. It went through all that. The car wasn't going that fast.
My dude,
they're going like most 40.
Okay. Well, suspended disbelief. Okay. Now you see, it's all right. That's okay. All right. For you, that's fine. I can understand. But for me, I can suspend my disbelief long enough to appreciate that is just. I mean, from the practical effects.
So
beautiful, and the twitching the guy does at the end. Just that's amazing. And there's also a really good. I'm going to keep talking because you know what?
That's fine. That's fine.
Because the tension building as well when they're both having to get out of the car, I thought was really good. But yeah, what let it down for me was just the teleport. That was it. Really, it was just that let it down for me. It was disappointing because it could have been such a strong scene. Had the kill been, had all of the kills been executed as they, as cleanly as they were for the two agents. But that's just my take.
And what about the tension? I mean, the tension. I found it really tense when she is trying to sneak by. That really worked for me.
Yeah. I say I completely bought into it. And I remember watching the film the first time, and I was just when I was 11, because 11, 12 when it came out on video, and just it was one of those like eyes covered up by your pillow moments, real tension. Now bearing in mind, like I said, I was only like 12 or 13 at the time when I first watched this, but yeah, it was a real tense scene because you don't know. It's almost like a fake out in a way because you would expect it to, you would expect Ghostface to come around either as the second, because I was always expecting her to die, don't get me wrong, but just as she's getting out of the car and then he drags her in, and or do you know what I mean, something along those lines, and then, but yeah, that obviously that didn't happen. They decided to teleport him, and yeah, I didn't like that.
Yeah, I hated the whole scene.
Fair enough.
I'm not gonna lie.
Did you not like the Don't Ask, Don't Tell reference?
The what reference?
Oh, there's like this small subplot where one of the agents is gay.
No, I didn't even notice.
Yeah, they didn't make a big thing of it. Like there was one mention, and it was it was during the singing scene. No?
Oh.
No.
Okay, there was a reference. Sydney thinks that one of the agents is gay, and then there's a reference that he says, "Don't ask, don't tell."
Right.
And I was like, "Oh, okay, that's a small little thing." Okay.
Also,
Yeah.
Also, what I found dumb about the scene was just like, I have to go back and find out who it is. Like, bitch, call the police.
Literally.
Just call the police. What are you doing? Why do you need to go back? Why do you need to go back? Just call. Keep running. Run to a phone box. Run to a house. Phone the old bill. You find out later.
Yeah. I mean, why not unmask him?
Yeah,
why
on the way out.
Disarm him?
Yeah. As soon as you get out, you're like,
you can literally kill him while he's. Yeah, you can even kill him. Though you can snap his neck while he's unconscious. I mean, who cares? You can just say that he died in the car crash.
Oh, Haryan. Steel beams don't go through people's heads, but women can break necks. Gláeddyv. All right, okay, mate.
Yeah, I'm sorry. You're right. You're right. I'm sorry. I shouldn't assume women can do that.
Yeah.
So there was a lot with. I mean, even before that, like when the FBI agents are getting like kicked around, I'm like, that bit's fine. He's a competent fighter. We'll take that. But then, like, the guy stands up, points the gun at him, and says, like, "Don't move." And there's a good 3 or 4 seconds before he finally gets hit by the car.
Yeah,
that's more than enough chance to shoot. And then he's on the car in front, and he's still saying "Stop, please," instead of pulling the trigger. And I'm like, okay, so most charitable thing, he doesn't want to hit the. Yeah, he doesn't.
Oh, that's brilliant. That is brilliant.
No, I had to do it to him.
Why, folks? Why are you saying logic doesn't exist in movies? Movies can't work without logic. it's best films ever made generally have good logic in them. Anyway, but most charitable interpretation. Okay, he doesn't want to hit the women behind, but it's kind of like you're not going to think about that when you're about to have a pole through your head, even though that's physically impossible. And it's like Ghostface's plan was like, oh, I'm going to crash the car and get the policeman off, when he can kind of swerve him off for a start. But he knocks himself out doing this. And I'm like, well, this is just stupid.
Do you want me to make you even angrier?
Go on.
Okay. So one, I've actually got this image saved as the gun is on the car hood.
Yeah. Oh,
Like,
yeah,
when
they don't take it. Yeah.
Yeah, Sydney comes out the car. She could literally lean over, grab the gun, and execute.
You
Well,
don't even need to
yeah,
do that as well.
yeah.
She
This is the
doesn't.
thing. I know. Fez said like, why didn't they just like stab him at that point? I mean, they inherently aren't killers, but yeah, they could take the knife, they could take the gun to use it to defend themselves, but they don't. Yeah,
I
dumb,
want to
dumb,
make you
dumb.
angrier. She did stab him in the original script.
Oh my!
Oh, for God's
God's
sake!
sake.
The
It makes.
reason he crashes the car isn't trying to hit the agent. He crashes the car because Sydney is innovative and has a pencil and stabs him through the grill in the neck, just like
That is so much better.
Yeah,
she just manages to do that and makes him crash in response, and then she takes advantage of the situation.
by not
See,
taking the gun or the
How
knife.
much better would that have
See,
been?
and folks are saying that would be too easy. Okay, there's a lot. Like you can have it that they're driving around for a bit. You can have it that he dropped the gun way earlier, and then he's just trying to punch the windshield out, and that's why Ghostface is then thinking, right, I've got to, get him off then. There's like you can write ways in for it not to be too easy. Lead poisoning.
Brilliant.
Yeah, so a simple thing of if she had stabbed him with the pen or pencil, and then, when she does that, the pen obviously drops down, she can't use that again, but she's taken positive action, being innovative. She can then do in the original script, she does the exact same thing. She forces out the grill, she slides by, it's very tense. And she doesn't have, a gun nearby that she ignores. This is just like that darn thing in that awful film Black Christmas from 2019. And I know I've mentioned this a few times, but I'm still annoyed that I forgot to include this in my review because I didn't notice it the first time. But there's a scene where the masked killers are attacking a different sorority and they kill a male security guard turns up with a gun, and the masked killer just kills him because the idea is like the women have to stand up for themselves, but they ignore the security guard's gun and turn up armed with a chair and a menorah.
Wow.
You had a gun.
Again, Scary Movie did it best when Carmen Electra picked up the banana. That's just as effective.
Yes.
Bloody hell.
I
Damn
know.
this
I know.
film.
Yeah, now I think about it more. This scene really does wind me up more than impress me.
I'm so sorry.
No. Do you know what? The things that win it for me, as I say, is the visual effects, the practical effects on of the death of that second FBI agent or whoever it was.
Yeah.
And the tension of them two getting out of the car. Everything else on top of that is just dumb.
Yeah, like I said, the best of Scream 2, the worst of Scream 2.
Yeah.
The tension is grand, even if it's a poorer way of getting you in there. It works. The effects are nice and extra grisly. It's what Randy calls the old carnage candy.
Yeah.
A bit I've clipped over and over again. It's magical. It's magical. But yeah, then because Hallie has to be dead, because they're not having her be the killer anymore, she just gets off in a moment of horrific teleportation. It's brutal.
Nice.
Yeah.
It is absolutely brutal. Should we maybe talk about one of the things that was kind of another element that was sort of ruined not ruined, but weakened when they had to change the script?
Go on.
Thank you. If you guys said no, I had nothing. I was absolutely screwed. Okay, I've got to find it. I found it. Good. Right. So the bit we want to talk about is we totally are. We totally are. Don't worry, man. Prompt us if we don't. Prompt us after this bit and we'll go and do it, okay? Because I love that bit and I think that's what a really effective part.
Are we going to talk about Randy's scene as well?
Yeah, should we have a little moment on Randy?
quick pop quiz for the chat. What was his favourite scary movie?
Go on, chat. You should know this. Where
Might
are
take a
we?
moment for them to come through.
We'll take a while chat's getting the answers in. Let's appreciate Tori Spelling and
Luke Wilson. Yep.
Oh, the stab scenes are absolute gold.
I genuinely thought that was Keanu Reeves when I first kind of heard and saw him, but I was disappointed.
So quick chat. I'm waiting for it. Okay, Fez is going to get the Fez will be a few minutes before he gets to the trivia. We're looking forward to it. Do you guys pick up on why Tori Spelling is cast as Sydney in Stab?
Did she originally cast for the role?
No, it's a reference to a
Oh my god,
dialogue.
yeah.
It's
yeah,
in Scream.
yeah.
It's like, who do you want to play you? Knowing my look,
I
it
can't
would
get
be Tori Spelling.
Yes.
Bless her, she turned up and did this.
Amazing.
What a hero!
No, I liked a metal line in this bit as well, where they're talking and Randy's saying like, "Oh, they just get a nobody to play me."
Yeah,
So I don't know what else he's actually acted in. I certainly don't know what else he acted in at that point. So.
Have you
The
not
Mask
seen The
2.
Mask 2?
No.
Oh no, we both went for it.
Yeah.
We're not going to do it now, guys, but something I would recommend for you is Jamie Kennedy. He did kind of comedy shows and pranks. Like, he's a comedy guy, primarily. He has his interesting YouTube channel now, and he's just put up a few videos about getting cast, how he got cast in certain roles. And his 2 videos about Scream and Scream 2 are really interesting. Like, the process that got him cast is quite fascinating.
Okay.
Oh, you know what? We've mentioned The Mask 2. We shouldn't do him dirty. We should mention he was also in Baz Luhrmann's Romeo and Juliet. He's really good.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and he sort of had trouble getting cast for Scream because he had pink hair.
As you do. It was the 90s.
Indeed. All for Baz Luhrmann's Romeo and Juliet. Oh, I love that film. I am a sucker for it, I'm afraid. So I won't try and summarize it, but it's really nice watching Jamie Kennedy talk about that experience. It's really fun. You get a lot of respect for him, actually. But in this scene, they kind of do Randy dirty. So this is kind of pivotal. It's him and Dewey, just like in the first one, having a discussion, which is a strong lead to the audience. Who should you be suspecting? It's the, look, you've got to be thinking about this. This is what your mind's got to be on.
Do you mean the conversation that he had with Stu in the first one in the video store? Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah. Around the same point in the movie,
yeah,
people go to Randy to get leads on who the suspects are. I've been told I've got some interesting phrasing. Oh dear.
Brilliant.
Oh no. Moving on.
Nice.
Oh dear. So, just like in that time, who did Randy point the finger at? Billy. Right?
Yep.
And he absolutely did not buy the attempt to blame Sydney's father, right?
Yeah.
Didn't go for it. So, who did he point the finger at in this scene? And don't worry, he named a lot of names.
He didn't point. Did he point the finger at Mickey at one point?
It's the boyfriend, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah. He says the boyfriend is tired. It's been done. So he doesn't blame the boyfriend. He points at Mickey.
Mm-hmm.
He points the finger at Hallie.
Interesting.
He does originally raise Derek and then dismisses. S. Gilman is right. Yeah, Hallie and Derek. Yes, and Mickey and Gail. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Now, okay, this might seem a little random, but this was something I noticed when I did my video on Scream 2. He basically names everyone who's in the alternative scripts.
Nice.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. Now, the only one he's off on is Cotton Weary in one of the alternative scripts.
Okay.
But I think that might actually be off. Like, one of the main scripts it's Mickey, Derek, Haley, and Debbie Salt.
Right.
But the other version is Derek, Haley, Debbie Salt, and then Cotton last minute becomes a killer.
Right. That many. Yeah. See, that just sounds a bit convoluted, man. To have like up to 4 killers in one film.
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
This is why it's so good that it got leaked and we don't have that ending.
Yeah.
But Randy is spitting straight facts and naming all the right people. Now,
Yeah.
okay, he does say Gale, so he's off on Gale, but he is directing your suspicion towards a news reporter.
Yeah.
So
Okay. Yeah.
Randy
And he doesn't.
was
And
Interesting.
Randy is Cassandra.
yeah.
He's a
Well,
Cassandra.
nobody listened to him in the first one.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, he was the only thing he was doing. He was talking to the wrong people.
Yeah, get that man a shave and a nice dress, okay? Because we got our new Cassandra right here.
Also,
Or
he says
not.
the best. Also, he says no, definitely. He does say the best line in the film.
Oh, go
I've
for
got it. I've got it on IMDb. He's like when he's like, "Oh yeah, well let's redirect the moment, Mister. I'm so original. Where's your motivation, huh? Why copy yourself off of 2 high school loser ass dickheads? Stu was a pussy ass wet rag, and Billy Loomis, what the fuck? Jesus, talk about a rat looking homo repressed mama's boy. Why not set your goals higher, huh? You want to be one of the big boys, huh? Manson, Bundy, OJ, son of. Love that.
Face
It's just
naming OJ
what
too.
what the killing Randy off in this film was an absolute travesty.
Yeah. Why did they
That-
even kill him?
I
Just because he
think
was in
it's
the first one.
I think they wanted to show that they had teeth, that he really was at risk. But
Yeah,
I
because they
didn't
wanted.
like it.
No, I didn't.
No.
I didn't like it.
And I think you see that they regret the decision because they do,
Hey, bring it
Sorry
back
about
in.
this. I'll only have it on briefly,
Yeah.
guys, but this is
Oh,
interesting.
yeah, yes.
This is shot as an insert.
Mm.
So Jamie Kennedy talks about this in the video that he really didn't know if he was coming back for Scream 2 or not. And in a similar way, Dewey was originally set to be killed. And then they, Wes Craven had a last minute take where he said, just show your thumb, raise your thumb to show you're okay. So basically Dewey was saved in the edit at the last minute, which does happen a few times. Jamie Kennedy didn't know if he was going to be saved or not, and then they said, "No, we're going to shoot an insert, and we'll probably use it." And so he shot everything, and he still thought he might get saved in the edit.
And yet
Alas,
he's still
no.
turned. And yet he's again. Actually, no, we won't go into spoilers because obviously, Harry, and you've not seen Scream 3 yet, have you?
Yeah,
No.
Okay.
we'll keep quiet on it, but let's
well-
say there's evidence that they regretted their decision. Would
Yeah.
that be fair?
Yeah, I think that's fair to say.
Yeah.
Just bring him back, What's the issue?
It's
why not?
it's
Why
it's
not?
horror. It's horror. Anything's possible in horror.
Exactly.
Yeah, we should probably. Yeah, you know what? We'll get to some. We'll maybe cover a little bit of how it lays the suspicion out, but maybe let's go to a high point of the film, right? As I know people want us to talk about it. This.
Yes.
It has a little, there's a little niggle in it. There's a small thing we can pick at. But otherwise, this is good.
Yeah.
Yeah, quite like the.
Boob grab. What?
Oh,
That
well,
was an entertaining moment.
yes.
But yeah, I mean,
And it's okay because he's just grabbing his IRL wife's boob. So,
Yeah.
you know.
yeah, because your killer's obviously up in the projector room, and oh yeah, I forgot about the Randy kill. I've just seen it again. I'm like, how did he die? Oh yeah, the van.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, that's quite cool. At least it was
Yeah.
a cool death.
Yeah. Well, with the boombox as well. The three white guys with the boombox.
Yeah. But yeah, it's all this whole thing of like, oh, I mean, what got me is that this can only be set up if Gale and Dewey actually decide to go in to go through their own VCR, their own tapes. And it just so happens that whole elaborate thing has been set up by Ghostface. And I'm like, how do they know he's going to go in there? But, you know, I just find set up bad. Whole middle bit pretty good with the whole chase through the felt or whatever you call it, noise cancelling stuff.
I was going to point out that there is a slight problem of the reason they're going to watch the tapes is, well, they work out Phil was just shooting the crowd. So the killer's going to be on the tapes. And I thought, okay, yeah, probably. How are you going to tell who it is?
How you got to tell who it is.
Yeah.
So,
when you say Phil, do you mean Joel, the black dude?
oh, is it Joel?
It's Joel,
Damn it.
yeah.
Joel's
Damn
the
it.
black guy, yeah.
Darn it, I was rushing through it. Okay, Joel. Oh, I've been calling him Phil for ages.
That's fine. Uncle Phil.
Oh, if only. R.I.P. Uncle Phil. All right.
Shredder. R.I.P. Shredder.
Aw.
Yeah. Talented voice actor. Okay. Yeah. Oh, this was a great little joke as well.
Yeah.
All the meta stuff is brilliant. Yeah, so they have got a slight weak reason to be there. There was a little bit of a fun clue in this bit to who the killer is. What you've got revealed is what you've got revealed is that the killer has been filming them. And you have actually seen in multiple scenes Mickey with a camcorder.
With a camcorder, yeah.
Ah. I did not notice that. That is a neat detail.
It's a cute little thing, isn't it? Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, you're quite late in the film by the time you get that information, but yeah. How did you feel about this scene, TCG, in terms of scares?
Yeah, it was great. It's just, yeah, great scene.
It's the scariest part of the film for me. It's the
Yeah.
standout. I like the intro. The scene that Sarah Michelle Gellar does, it's cool. It's all right. It does a job. Pretty effective. But this, for me, is the innovation that was actually the scariest part that really delivered.
Yeah, this has it all. I mean, it has conflict resolution between Dewey and Gale. Then you've got, you know, that being all torn to shreds when Dewey gets attacked, and also the soundproof glass as well. What makes it even, you know, it's quite harrowing at that point because you know you wanted things to work out, and it's like it's completely taken away. Yeah, when that happened, I was like, oh man, just you know, my heart went out. My heart went out to poor Dewey and poor Gale, and then the bit when they're sort of like having to navigate through the soundproof room and that silent scene. I don't really think stuff like that had been done in horrors as much as sort of like you. Well, I don't know if it's done. I don't know if it's done that regularly now, but that scene where it's just like total silence.
No, it's a great bit of innovation. I'm trying to think. Hush would be your best example, but this is long before that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, what, by at least 20 years.
Yeah. Yeah, as you say, it's brilliant. It's take the sound away and get you really focused. And of course, these are people you care about. You've just seen them get together, and then it's absolute heartbreaking thing. You know, the timing is absolutely perfect, and that feeling of helplessness. Again.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
It's such a cool moment, and you stick with it as well. you stick on her reaction for a while, and it just really helps it land and hit you right in the gut.
That's it. Yeah, definitely, 100%. Yeah, this I know I mentioned about the car scene, but this was probably my favourite scene in the film.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, it's the winner for me. I know it's not as complicated as the intro, but it just does the job, doesn't it? It's the Ron Seal scene.
Any logic breaking for you here, Haryan?
The soundproof glass isn't always soundproof. Like when Dewey's smacking on it, it's soundproof. When Ghostface does, it's not. Right. That's one thing I noticed. There's no way Dewey can survive that many stab wounds.
I don't know. Have you seen my video on Alison Botha?
Well, true.
Yeah.
Okay, it's very unlikely he'd survive that many stab wounds.
There we go.
They have some ADR dialogue that he was saved because it went into some old scar tissue.
That's right. Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I don't know if that works. But what it just looked like he got stabbed about 8 times.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
No. Like, yeah. I mean, because what is it in the? That's the thing. Oh, it just went into old scar. He only got stabbed once in the first film.
Yeah.
So was he slashing him in the same spot 8 times, or however many times it was? Oh no, or was this scar tissue from when he fell off a bike at 13? Like, what scar tissue are we talking about?
It was a bit weird when he was looking for Gale. He kind of has an arm up and kind of looks like he's miming holding a gun. I didn't quite get why. Yeah, but no, I think. Oh yeah, and he's got his foot in some pizza, and they show it, and I'm like, why? That didn't come to anything. He's just got his foot in pizza, and it's because he's distracted by it, and then Ghostface gets him, but it's he's already distracted by Gale.
And who wouldn't be? It's like who is it says it? Oh, Stygian Forks. I do love the tight white shirt she's wearing. We all do. We all do.
Yeah. Oh, and that's how he ends up warning her, isn't it? He gets stabbed and then he's on the ground. The microphone just happens to be there. Wouldn't you see the microphone when he sees the pizza? Because it's next to it.
So when he's throwing the chair at the window, is the microphone already on at that point? Would that explain why you can hear the?
I think or is it I think he picks it up and operates it. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
It'll have a button on it. Yeah.
Fez with a very gruesome fact there. Goodness me.
Yeah. It's more common. I say if you're stabbed X amount of times and you're not hitting anything vital.
I'm kind of basing a lot off what's he called, Christopher Lee, saying when he gets stabbed you kind of don't breathe and you just kind of collapse, or at least that was. Well, maybe not collapse, but he knows what it's like to be stabbed. Basically, was this what he said to Peter
Jackson?
Yeah. So.
Oh, okay. Wow.
There was in terms of clues towards the killer, we had the cute little thing where Mickey has a camera and the killer has a camera. There's also a thing when Randy dies. Do you remember we get a close-up shot of the killer's shoes?
Vaguely, yeah. They're
the killer steps out. We just see the black boots.
Yeah.
And we did. I was quite sad. I went back and I tried to look for shots of everyone's shoes to see who we could. Yeah, I didn't. You can't. But I thought that would be cool if they'd done that. The only thing I got was that you are shown at. I've got my timestamp here because that's how cool I am.
No.
At 1 hour 9 minutes, you get a shot of Cotton's boots.
Right.
Which are the same. So it's giving you a possibility, but again, it's not like it's super detailed. It's just fairly generic black boots. So I don't think it was. I'm not sure we were meant to particularly think about it all that much. But gosh darn it, I did.
Yeah. Well, as you will. Oh, I thought that's the kind of details I'd like in a film as well. But I'm not gonna cry that they didn't have the same type of boots on. It's not the worst thing in the world. People own more than one pair of boots.
Well, yeah, they also did the scene in the library where, I mean, this is quite late 90s, where Sydney gets a scary instant message.
Oh yeah, that was really and it's
Quite
like
dated, isn't it?
going up across the screen, like instant chat messages don't.
Oh God, I should have edited it so the message says "Send Bobs and Begin." I might have to do that, but I've done one hastily edited meme this stream. We're okay. Yeah, it was an odd one, but I got quite weird, and I froze it, and I tried to look throughout the crowd to see if the killer was in the room. No, but
That's
I thought that would have been a really cute detail if they'd actually put the killer in the room for you to see, just like in the back. But no, they did not do it.
I would have liked that, but it's a lot of effort for kind of very little payoff, really. But
yeah, I feel your odds of actually guessing are quite low to minimal in this film. Would that be fair?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I'd say so.
That's kind of something that I think we might see as a recurring theme, where you kind of have a dilemma that you have your returning cast that you care about, and you basically write them off, although they appear to be really trying to direct us to think that some of the returning characters are real suspects for the new Scream. So you find yourself just looking at a lot of new people. Yeah, I mean, this is interesting. Yeah, as you say, Mickey vanishes for about an hour. Yeah, absolutely true.
Well, I'm going to be honest. I watched the finale and I'm like, who? Who was that?
He doesn't do very much. They really changed it around. Originally, he got they had this kind of cool scene. I wouldn't recommend you read the entire alternative script, but there is kind of a cool scene where instead of Derek getting captured by pledges, Mickey gets captured and he's tied up. I'm going to go into the details because this is really good and I wish we had seen it. And you can call me a hack. I'm ready for people to just type hack in the chat because I'll put my hands up. I'm guilty. But there was going to be a scene where after the car crash, Sydney's running back to campus. No one knows why. I haven't even got to the schlock yet.
Go on.
We've got heaps of schlock to come.
Can't wait.
TLDR, she finds Mickey tied up because of the fraternity shenanigans, and oh no, it's piling up now. I'm getting distracted. No, guys, please. Mickey is tied up, and Sydney's trying to untie him. And Ghostface is around, but she gets a shovel that she's used to break the locks, and she uses a shovel to hit Ghostface, and then she has to run away to distract, and then she's running away from Ghostface, and she runs into another Ghostface, and suddenly you've got two Ghostfaces on screen at once, and they, what is it the kids say? Double team Mickey, stabbing him in the back and the front simultaneously.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. How cool would that have been?
Man.
Is he going to get away or not? Like, it's not a massive surprise that we have two killers in a Scream film. In fact, they're kind of writing this with that knowledge. And I think that was a bit of a more hacks. Gosh darn it, guys! You would have loved it.
Hack.
I think
We're in the finale at that point. Why not show us the two ghost faces and then do something with it instead of a reveal? Bring it in, show it, and then work with it. But yeah, that was in the script, and we don't get it. And I would have liked it.
Girls get it done.
Don't.
Yeah, people are saying Timothy Oliphant, good actor. Yeah, he was. He was. I know him best from what's it called, Deadwood, which I really want to rewatch. Actually, I think I possibly appreciate it a bit more now because it's quite a patient series.
I remember him from Hitman.
Yeah. How would you rate Hitman alongside what's it called? The Assassin's Creed movie?
I haven't seen the Assassin's Creed movie, funnily enough.
I
never
have seen
even
the
played the games.
Assassin's Creed movie, but I haven't seen the Hitman one.
Oh gosh, guys. Alas, we will never know which was better, but I gather it was a bit schlocky.
Yeah.
But
Assassin's
was
Creed
it good
terrible.
schlock? Was Hitman good schlock?
It was schlocky, yeah. It weren't great.
I'll take it. Yeah.
Although he did look the role. He did look the part, I will say.
He's very young in this. So he's not massively well. I mean, lots of them are young in this. Portia de Rossi is very young in this.
Oh yeah.
Oh gosh, I cannot believe I'm forgetting his name. He's a lovely actor. Jerry O'Connell. Obviously mostly known for Sliders at this point.
Yes. I remember Sliders.
Do you reckon Sliders is up for a rewatch? No one talks about Sliders anymore.
Yes, we have to. We've got to cover Sliders at some point.
Shall we do a rogue stream on a few episodes of Sliders?
Absolutely. In fact, we should do the. If I remember correctly, there is an episode of Sliders where they transport to a universe where basically women have taken over and men are just basically there to reproduce. Yeah,
and Professor Arturo is like, look, I've got this plan, and we can get the gene pool spread out, and it's going to be optimal. And they're like, no, we just want to bang the Chad.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh man, that's good. Yeah, good call. He absolutely was in Stand By Me. A great watch. The first Rob Reiner Stephen King adaptation, I think. Good call. Good call. Yeah, so Jerry O'Connell's quite young in this. They throw quite a lot of suspicion at him, and then they deflect it, and then they bring it back again. If you noticed, he got a fair few shots where he was made to look suspicious. Yeah.
I mean, there's a few sort of rehashes of the first film, like when Sydney's chased the first time, he comes out of nowhere, goes into the house. Oh no, I've been injured by Ghostface, and it's just
Oh yeah.
Yes.
That made me really happy, Fez. Thank you.
We should do like a special slider scale then for sliders.
We will.
We'll put the burgers to one side.
Oh my gosh, we have to do it. I'm so hyped for that now. Okay. So what I was saying, we've got you on cast. I did mention Portia de Rossi, and one of the red herring sorority sisters was Rebecca Gayheart.
Gay.
Yep. Horror fans possibly aware of her from Urban Legend, which she would make the year after this, I believe, in 1998.
Oh.
Urban Legend, one of the big sort of post-Scream films.
Yeah.
Not written by Kevin Williamson, but clearly having to react to Scream.
Yeah.
She was pretty great in that. I really liked her. And she had an interesting role in Nip Tuck, which I don't recommend anyone watch.
I've watched a couple of episodes of that.
It's a very special show. It shows why Ryan Murphy should not be allowed to make things for more than one season. After that, it falls apart very quickly. So we've talked a little bit about some of the red herrings, and I think part of the problem is this is so very invested in setting up the suspects a lot, but I never felt I had too much to go on. The only one I was really happy with was Debbie Salt, aka Mrs. Loomis. How did that work for you guys as a suspect?
Yeah, that was good. Because again, like Mickey, she just pops up in these little moments. She's quite forgettable, you know.
I can see why they really had to layer on dialogue in this finale, because most of the audience is probably going to be like, who the hell are you?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Which isn't ideal, but it's kind of, it's what we've got. So, but I mean, does it work? It makes sense. I mean, what's the motivation? His motivation is just go to jail, blame violent films, and I'm like,
It's all about the trial, baby.
yeah, I'm confused. I'm like, do you just want fame? I don't get it. Like,
Essentially, yeah.
But
He wants.
right.
It's sort of going down the OJ route, wasn't he? He wanted to get, he wanted the big trial. He wanted sort of feeding off the old serial killer sort of mentality when they, where they achieve infamy through their actions, and he wanted that through being able to blame them, through blaming the movies, getting a little bit of support in that regard, and getting the sympathy on his side, and obviously having his day on trial in front of millions of people watching from across the country, and that was him. Whereas Debbie Salt, it was just, bitch, you killed my son, I want to kill you.
Yeah, I mean, that wasn't the worst thing in the world.
That makes total sense to me. Whether Billy, Billy may have been a weak ass mama's boy, but she was still his.
And homo repressed.
And homo repressed, of course. But she was. She was his weak ass repressed homo mama's boy.
You are terrible.
And you're my weak ass repressed homo mama's boy, Haryan.
Thank you. That makes me feel so much better.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting that I think they quite neatly sidestep the issue of what the effects of these movies are, which is obviously, it's still a hot topic, but they kind of sidestep the issue of what damage, if any, these movies do, because they just point out, basically, the takeaway I think they're going for is, if you are going to say that you can blame the movies, then people will blame the movies. And they will, you are handing people an excuse if you allow that. I think that's what Scream 2 was saying.
Maybe.
Possibly.
It's a bit hard to know. I mean, that's the reading I took of it. That the fact that he was saying, oh, trust me, I've got all that. I can count on a lot of support from organizations that want to blame the movies.
What was his name?
Yeah.
Jack.
It was Christian. What?
Yeah,
Jack Thompson.
Jack Thompson.
Was it they named another organization? I cannot remember, but they named. And they had Sarah Michelle Gellar reference Moral Majority, which is possibly a reference that won't stand up today. Think of them as like the American Mary Whitehouse, but less based.
Okay, I will.
Yeah, he's basically saying, well, we said what the interpretation of that is.
Yeah, I mean, well, looking at Jack Thompson, just a quick Google search for me, he looks like he was doing sort of campaigns against media, or video games in particular, since sort of like the late 90s.
Oh, he was.
In 97, he filed a lawsuit on behalf of parents of 3 students killed in the Heath High school shooting. That was in 97, same year this film came out. So I suppose it's taking Jack Thompson's personal crusade and just applying that logic to scary movies. Yes, everyone agrees with this.
Sorry for typing. I just saw this about Scream 5 and I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, that's quite
a good sign. I don't know. We'll talk about it a lot more when we get to Scream 4, because Scream 4 is the main reason why I'm hesitant about Scream 5. But we will get to it. So that impact of horror movies aside, as you say, Mrs. Loomis, much clearer motivation. Also, given how much they explicitly reference Friday the 13th and Mrs. Voorhees, kind of genius, right?
Yeah, bit of reverse order in that, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like a setup that you didn't even realize was there, and they realized, oh wait, we got this in the bag. Yeah, let's pay that off.
If
That
only
really
she,
worked.
all she needed was the white woolly jumper.
Oh my gosh, how good would it have been if they had her in that?
That would have been brilliant. That would have been brilliant.
Yeah. So it worked for me. I mean, I did think there was a moment that was really clever later that I think they kind of detracted from in the script. So, do you remember when Mrs. Loomis, as Debbie Salt, first talks to Gail? She says to her, "I was at your seminar. I sat in the front row."
Yes.
Don't worry if you didn't. It's a really short line. But that stood out to me because I was like, oh gosh, that's really clever. She went to the seminar, she sat in the front row, and she wanted to see if Gail recognized her.
Ah, interesting.
Yeah, that is smart.
Yeah.
I was like, that's true. Actually, I was going to say that's not clever. I mean, because Sydney says, oh yeah, she's lost weight and she's had some surgery, but it still kind of works, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it still works that she has done that as a test to see if Gail will recognize. And yeah, I just picked that up and I thought that was a really cute detail.
Yeah. Well done, film. You get a pat on the head.
Yes.
I
might send that to Scream Obsessed and see if he likes my theory. It's my own homebrew theory on that one anyway. So it's a nice motivation. We talked about some of the weakness of this, that even though we've got a good villain, I think we're broadly happy between us all that we only have the 2 killers. We don't have this 4-killer monstrosity.
Yeah,
potentially coming our way.
Yeah,
two
it can get too much.
Yeah, two is more than enough. I mean, you can even get away with 1, but I mean, given the fact the first one had 2 killers, it made sense to have no more than 2. I think, trying to do 2, trying to add too many elements or too many killers, it would just muddy the waters, I think, because then you've got to try and fit all the motivations in as to why each individual person's doing it. It would get a bit convoluted.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and I think we've already touched on some of the issues raised by them. They basically have staged something that's incredibly dramatic. It's incredible. It's quite convoluted. There are a lot of moving parts in this finale. A lot of people sort of threatening each other with conflicting motivations. And they've basically said, yes, we've thrown this on a theatrical set to show you how theatrical it is. Which I think we already talked about earlier on, has a slight risk of it becomes a bit harder to take it seriously. Because it's just basically highlighted, this is unreal, this is melodramatic.
Yeah.
It's a weakness, but
it's time to stop.
Yeah. Get some help. I don't think any of the actors let them down, and I actually think when we get Cotton coming back on, it is actually quite a redeeming bit for this scene. I've given you this screen cap of them all in the shot, which is effectively just getting you, how can I say, just to try and refresh you on what the situation is and who's in play.
Yeah.
But everything after this is actually just like tight focuses on their faces, which gets you back into the drama, which I think works quite well. So good directing choice.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And then, it does resolve, and, well, we get a bit of a hero shot. I'm not sure I ever really believed that, Cotton was a threat, but Lee Schreiber does his best, and he is good fun in all of these. And how did you like the sort of obligatory "sometimes they come back" scare?
Yeah, it was all right. It was pretty good.
God, I hated it.
I knew it.
Just, Oh, I've just come back from consciousness and have been shot. Rah! And they just turn around and both mag dump him. It's like, oh god, that is cringe.
There is a bit of the girls get it done to it as well, isn't it? That Cotton immediately hands the gun over.
Oh yeah, that's another thing.
It took me
stop.
quite a
No.
while to get green pepper for Sydney because I just love her face in this.
No staff was shot by the producers of this film. Brilliant.
Too soon, Dash, too soon. Yeah, and the brutal capping of Miss Loomis is quite savage in this. So it's a stylish thing. I do think the repeating the beat from the first film with Mickey, but making it really exaggerated. Oh, I think we've got a bot in the chat. Who doesn't love a bot?
Vordot, no. Ugh.
Bad luck. Sorry, folks.
What? No.
Yeah.
As long as it watches the ads, it's okay.
Yeah, do we get ad revenue from bots? Who knows? Maybe they can stay. Yeah, it's a bit of a misstep, I think. But we do, after this, end on something we did talk about quickly at the start. The really... Oh gosh, where is it? See, I can never find it at the last minute. I've got way too many screen caps for this film. Here we go. This bit. We end on a bit of redemption for Gail.
Yes.
You know,
Well done, Gail.
I love
Well
that.
done.
She had the chance, you know, she was about to be... Her career could have shot up even more, and she just rejects it. I love it.
That's right.
It's like, it's a bit cheesy that Joel comes back, and it's like kind of out of nowhere. He's like, "Hey, we can get back to doing the filming." You know, that's quite a contrivance.
Now all the killers are out of the picture. To be fair, Joel was perhaps one of the smartest dudes in this film because he went and read. He read Gail's book and was like, "Dude, I know what happened to your last cameraman. He was gutted. You know, I ain't sticking around for that." And she was like, "Well, hold on. I lied about that. He just had his throat slashed." And he was like, "Slashed, gutted. He ain't in the union no more." I'm like, "Yeah, yeah."
I'm just trying to find who played it. Was
And he was like-
so Dwayne Martin played Joel.
Yeah, just the fact that he was like, "I know what happens to people like me in these types of situations. I'm out of here." Like, well done, mate. Well done. And look, hey, he survived.
Yeah, he was correct. He was correct. I don't think they bring him back. I wish they had.
I don't think they did. No.
Missed a moment there. Dwayne Martin, he was pretty darn good. He's pretty darn good in this. So yeah, we end on once again. Dewey is going off in an ambulance, but we have a moment of redemption here, and we also have a bit of a moment of redemption for Cotton and Sydney. You know,
Yes.
it's nice that they pay them off. Did that work for you guys?
Yeah.
Ish. I don't. It's kind of. What did Con learn? No, actually, no. What did Con learn? Yeah, he's not playing for the cameras anymore. So, yeah, that worked. I don't know why I remember that bit as him going off, like still wanting the camera attention. I'm like, wait, no, that didn't happen.
Well, I think
Well,
it does. No, it does
He's
because
professional when it's offered to him. But
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and I know they're doing like the final shot with Sid, but I'm kind of like, man, there's like 2 dead bodies and a guy bleeding out in that theater. I don't think she'd be walking away.
No, the movie. Oh, I hadn't thought about it, but you're actually right.
Yeah, it's just
If
just walks off.
If this were like the Screen Rant pitch meetings, it would be like, why aren't the police arresting her? Because the movie's over.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, darn it, that's a good catch. That's a good catch.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, Sydney Prescott is basically Jessica Fletcher. Like, murder just follows her everywhere she goes, but she never does it outright. So, you know, the police would just be like, yeah, okay, don't worry. Yeah, just you know, social distancing. applies to Sidney Prescott, because you get too close, you will die. Not of a virus, but of a knife.
God, you've reminded me of another thing that's in my notes.
Okay.
Like, I kind of wonder if they were going back and if they were going back and looking at older detective stuff. Because, like, the idea that actually you should care who's under the mask is one thing, but the idea of the character who's working under a false name is, like, classic Agatha Christie.
Mm.
You know, so the idea that Sydney never meets Debbie Salt until the end, and then she's just instantly, wait, no, that's Mrs. Loomis. Like,
That's
this
right.
happens so much in Agatha Christie. I only know this because Waifu is a massive Agatha Christie nerd and is actually working on a pod. It's amazing. She's working on an Agatha Christie podcast, so I'll be shilling the heck out of that when that's
Nice.
done. Yeah, it's great. It's great. She's really got me into it. So I think they possibly, or Kevin Williamson, when he's writing this, I think he possibly went back to classic detective fiction to get an idea about this, about just how to shake it up and make it a much more interesting mystery, and clearly use that technique. So that's it. Was there anything else you guys wanted to say about Scream 2?
Not really. Solid sequel. Not as good as the first, but I think it was aware of that. It had its ups and downs. The casting I thought was really good. And anything with Sarah Michelle Gellar, I'm always like, yes.
She's got a very brief cameo. Joshua Jackson has a one-scene cameo. I wish we'd had more of him. Do you know, I should probably mention it. I got the screen cap, but it's not worth it. Do you know that Stu from Scream, Matthew Lillard, actually has a cameo in this?
What?
He is in the background of a party.
Have you? You said you got the screenshot?
Yeah, hang on.
Pull
I'll get it
Pull it
for
up.
you. All right, hang on.
That is news to me. So, okay, further evidence that Stu is still alive.
He was on set. And they. What's the best of? Okay. Oh, this is not going to work for you guys. I'll show you it.
wait for the Matthew Lillard cameo in Scream 3. Wait for the Matthew Lillard cameo in Scream 4. Let me have a look at this.
He's right in the background, totally blurred out. That is him. He was on set when they filmed.
No way.
I told you it's not worth it. Fez, yes, Sarah Michelle Gellar has everything. We didn't really touch on it because she's basically, you know, she's said to be killed off, CC style. You know, it's good. She does a good job. It wasn't anything I got particularly excited about. But I'm being unfair. She's pretty good, but I don't think it was adding too much to the film. It's a nice scare, you know. This is her scene, and she's watching F.W. Murnau's classic Nosferatu. Odd choice, but anyway. So, folks, do you reckon we're up for closing thoughts? And scores, of course.
Yeah, I don't see why not.
All right, chat. We want your scores. Scores out of 12 would be much appreciated. What have we got? And TCG, would you like to go first?
Yeah, I'll go first. So as I say, you know, I thought this. I liked the sequel when it first came out. I thought it was quite a solid addition to the Scream franchise after the first one, but it wasn't as good for a couple of reasons. It had some strong points to it, but I felt like the way they did Randy was well out of order. There's also just a couple of, you know, just plot issues with the film, and but on the whole, I felt like, you know, for given the time that they had making this film, because I appreciated it was so soon after the first one. I thought they did as good a job as possible. So yeah, if I was to give it a rating out of 12 burgers, I would be giving it 8 with a bit of cheese some ketchup for the extra gore.
8 with cheese and ketchup. I think that's fair. That's fair. Haryan, would you like to give your score?
Bit of a mess, this film, not gonna lie. I still enjoyed most of it, I suppose, but I mean, if you're building up a whole whodunit, for the whodunit to hit hard, you kind of need the two killers to be people that the audience actually remembers outside of, I think, a total of about 5 scenes that are in, so, something like that. And it's like a big reveal of, oh, I was actually his mother, and I went through this whole big plan, and it's like, you kind of need to have more hints of that plan, more, Mike with the camcorder I thought was neat. But as far as I can tell, there's nothing really telling you that whatever the woman's name is, the mum is anything close to the actual mum rather than being disguised. Which, I mean, how do you put it in the film? I mean, I don't really know, but I mean, in the last film, you've got the boyfriend and you've got his mental friend, and there were hints dropped everywhere from what I remember. I mean, going through it again, but there were still some good scenes. I quite like the Gale and Dewey arc, and I like some of the kill scenes. I think one of my favorites is probably probably the van one in the park. I quite, that was a bit different. It's kind of out in the open. It's and the things start shaking, and there's a bit of contrivance of the guys coming through, but a lot of these kills were just nonsensical with the setups. So didn't quite grab me as much as the first one. And I'd actually probably rate the fourth one higher than this one. Thinking about it, I can't remember what I rated the fourth one. Well, we weren't doing ratings at that time.
No.
So
Okay.
yeah, this is below average. I think this is about a 5 out of 12 burgers with extra cheese. Because yeah.
Christ almighty!
I will say I'm
Wasn't
very
great.
interested to watch Scream 4. I think that's the one that will change the most on a rewatch. But okay, well, I do get a prediction in, but maybe we don't need to read that one. Let's just assume it's accurate.
Oh no, we'll read it. Don't you worry about that.
Okay.
Sorry. Right.
So excited.
Let me just pull it up.
I rubbished myself. No, I was slightly thrown because I think you gave Scream a 10.5 last time.
Oh, Scream was great.
Yeah.
This wasn't.
Okay, here we go.
I mean, bear in mind, I gave Scream 1 a 12 last week, so for it to drop 4 points, it's quite saying, quite telling. So you've dropped it by about the same amount of points, to be fair. But yeah, Haryan's prediction for Haryan. He enjoyed Scream 2, but he's aware of a few issues. He found the singing scene a bit cringe and unprompted. I would agree with that.
I did hate that. I hate that as well.
I would agree with that. He picked on the continuity issue in the Cassandra scene because he always notices that. The car crash scene is where he started to find the film getting sloppy, specifically the teleporting. He also found the accumulation of characters in the finale arbitrary. The acknowledgement of artificiality, theatrical setting did not work for him. He enjoyed the scene of Dewey and Gale being chased a lot more. He was not fooled by the sorority sisters as suspects. Possibly he didn't ultimately settle on anyone. Overall, good, but a step down. 8 out of 12, some cheese and welcome ketchup.
Oof.
I'm hanging my head in shame, I assure you.
Yeah,
there are some things in there. There are some things you've got.
Yeah. Got some things.
Yeah. Yeah, this film's well. I don't know. I mean, the original script probably needed less work to be fixed than the re-script, from what I've heard. because a lot of things in this film were just kind of happening.
Yeah.
So, it was like, what was the? I can't remember which film we went through where that ended up just things just started happening. It was one of the first ones, but I can't remember.
I think it was American Mary.
It was American Mary. Yeah.
Stuff yeah, I'd say probably the best example of that is is just Sydney gets out of the car crash and just wanders back to campus and then to the theatres. Why?
Yeah, literally. No police call.
Yeah, why aren't you going to the police?
No, not even an ambulance for the poor guy with a pipe through his head.
Yeah, I know, right?
And Tasha's asking me what's better, Inside Out or Scream. Probably. That's a hard one. I'm leaning towards Inside Out.
Inside Out was really good.
Yeah, but Scream is also very good. Both pretty. I guess Scream's more iconic within its own genre. So
I'm Gilman. I'm going to be really interested in what you think. Like Scream 3, I think is rated a heck of a lot more harshly than it deserves. I think it's got some hidden genius. Favorite? I find that very interesting. Very, very interesting that it would be someone's number one. And 4, as I've said, I'm interested in reviewing. I will quickly sum up here. I think it's better than you'd rate Haryan. I think a lot of the problem is that it's not as simple as there was a good script that they had to abandon, but there were bits in. Oh, hey Devante, how you doing? There were bits in the original script that were really good. So things like changing the car scene, so there's a stabbing in the neck. Giving Hallie more of an active role. I'd kind of like Hallie as an original killer. I think that'd be kind of cool. But there's also elements that were worse in it, like the ultimate number of killers. So I think what I ultimately take away from this is Kevin Williamson was just too darn rushed on this. You know, he was having to support, I Know What You Did Last Summer. He was still supporting Dawson's Creek. And then he had to rewrite this. I think he just needed longer time. And then he could have gone through a few more rewrites and got something really, really polished.
I agree.
Because there was some great stuff in the original script that I would have loved to see, you know. As I mentioned, the first Scream has the reveal of 2 killers. That's great. This one then basically can kind of take it as fact and then develop it, and that would have been brilliant. Wes Craven did do stuff on set, absolutely, but I think it is more collaborative than that. But if I'm going off some of the documentaries I've seen on the making of it. There's one that covered the making of 1 to 3. Is it still Screaming? That's the main thing I'm thinking of for information on the writing. So I think it needed more polish, basically. It just needed more polish. But there are still moments of great power in this film. It's got a tough job as a sequel, but it's not terrible. The casting is pretty darn great, and there's some inspired bits. I would say I do think I come down to an 8. It's good. I can rewatch it many a time. I really like Gail and Dewey in this.
Yeah.
It works for me.
They are the best part by far.
8 out of 10. Unintentional cheese. I didn't ask for it, but it turned up. And lots of ketchup. That's what I'd say. So, okay. I think we're all pretty good there. So I will round this off. I mean, guys, you're here at the end of the stream, so I usually give out the horror homework. You know exactly what it's going to be. It's going to be Scream 3.
Oh, wow. Couldn't see that coming.
Yeah, we are very predictable in this one. We are going to be doing Scream 3. Okay, I'm going to look into that. That would explain a certain amount. we've still definitely got a situation where there needed to be a more coherent rewriting situation. Yeah, it's going to be predictable. I don't know if I would assign any additional watching for it, so it's probably just going to be Scream 3 next week. Yeah, but we're making good progress, and we are on the way to completing the series. I do not have an extra Rogue arc planned. I am working on editing. If you caught it, the Christmas special came out last week, so that was on Candyman 2021, so I hope you watched that. That's all the shilling for me. I'd like to reiterate thanks to co-hosts. Haryan, anything to shill, sir?
Well, given it's Christmas, I've not really had time to do anything. I might just try and take it easy between Christmas and New Year, so I might do kind of a midday stream tomorrow, just gaming stream or something, don't know yet. Or if there's anything in the news that annoys me, obviously I'll cover that. But I also will be on Tailed Features stream tomorrow night, 10 o'clock, regional variations. Just to be a bit more interesting, the last video I did was on polyamorous relationships and why the people that do them are peak soy. Much degeneracy.
Cool. I mean, there was some great sound clips in that. What could I say?
Degenerate.
Yeah. How about you, TCG? Anything to shill?
Oh no, nothing for me. I'm taking the time off now until the new year. So Laughing at the Florida Man will return in 2022, and I will finish off my latest true crime video and get it out in the new year at some point. But more news on that to come later. In the meantime, just subscribe to the channel, That Crime Guy. There's a whole library of true crime cases on there if you want to check them out.
Absolutely. Well worth it. Well, all right, folks, that is everything. You've got your horror homework, and thank you for keeping the chat nice and lively. Sorry we have overrun a bit. Super Nanny's probably quite chill now, you know?
Well, she'll have a food baby still to spaff out.
I reckon she's into a second pint of Bailey's right now, and she doesn't even care that we've overrun by 11 minutes. I reckon
Second pint.
Oh yeah, it just pours it right into a Sports Direct mug and goes to town.
Nice.
Brilliant.
Dips a mince pie in it.
Yeah.
You know, I can see it.
As you
happening.
do. Yeah. Unacceptable. Unacceptable.
Yeah. So, chat. I hope you had a fantastic Christmas, and I hope you enjoyed us coming back. It's good doing this again. I was looking forward to it. I'm enjoying the Scream streams, and I'll see you next week for the next one. But I'm going to sign off now.
Right.
So.
Wait. What is the next one, Chloe? What is the next one? What could it be?
You troll, they know. All right, thanks. I'll sign off now. Thanks, y'all. Cheers.
Hashtag
Chill gang.